Planet, right? And this is one of my favorites. Maybe we'll do the I don't know. The classic is so boring, I feel like. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out in a second. Alright. Do you just aim for the middle of the curved poster when highlighting? That's a good question. I don't actually know where I'm aiming. I just kind of aim for the tool itself and it usually works out. Let's think about this though real quick. I'm gonna say no, just because look at where the black actually is when I'm spraying. So when I was doing the shading and the highlighting, it looks like I'm aiming more towards the top actually. I've never actually thought about it, but it looks like that's where I'm aiming. So that's interesting. I've never thought about that. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab a planet stencil, right? Plates, bowls, whatever you got. We're just going to place this down. We're going to go ahead and do another single planet. Remember, we're going to start with the basics, work our way up. Alright, we're going to work our way up, and we're going to make a dope painting together at the end. So let's go ahead, get some dark paint. It can just be black, it could be blue, it can be whatever. Outline it. Right? Oh, that was a terrible outline. We just want to make sure that we're not using too much paint if we can help it. And more importantly, we don't want to use too little paint. We want to make sure we actually get the whole circle here. Alright, bet. Alright. I don't want to do the classic planet. Let's get two colors here. Two colors. We use two colors and then we'll use a neutral. We'll probably use black and white actually. But let's get two different colors here. I see orange, let's go for it. I see purple, let's go for it. I love those colors actually. Those are great colors to go ahead and do this. Now what I want us to do is we're going to go ahead and separate these two colors somehow. It doesn't need to be a straight line, okay? It doesn't need to be like this and then this, okay? But let's go ahead and just kind of separate these two. Let's get the purple down on one side. Maybe we'll go ahead and just kind of curve in this way. And then let's go ahead and fill in the other side with the orange. Right, and you can use whatever colors you want here. I recommend that you get two colors that really just kind of clash together. I think that's when this technique really stands out. So we go ahead and we kind of have this like split in half sort of thing. It's going to look really good. And what I'm going to do is I like the idea, let's add a neutral here. So let's go ahead and add some white. And let's just add maybe a little squiggle in the middle. Just like that of white. And maybe a little bit of black. Maybe just some little black stripes, lines here and there. Not thinking too much into it. Now I want you to go ahead and grab some magazine pages, some newspaper pages. This is like phone book paper, but it's like newspapery type of thing. Oh, it does kind of look like that, huh? Use anything you have though, right? Just some sort of page. We're not going to crumple it up, nothing like that. Go ahead and grab your clear coat. Right, this is all I'm using if you need to screenshot it. And just get this either from Walmart, Home Depot, or Amazon, wherever I'm at that day. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to re-wet the paint using this. It just re-wets the paint, and that's what we need here. We're just going to place this page completely down. And now I'm going to take my hands, and we're just going to kind of spin this page around. Spin it around. We want to kind of make sure that all of the paint is hit here. So I think that looks good, and we're going to go ahead and lift it up. Alright, that looks pretty good, and it's going to look even better once it's done. But that looks stunning. So let's go ahead and do the shading and highlighting again. For those of you who missed, we kind of restarted our live here. Alright, but let's start again. When we're doing the shading and highlighting, you don't want to be too close. That's too solid. Pull back your can, find your distance, until you get that nice, cloudy, misty, faded effect. And what we're going to do are smiley faces. So let's say the shading is just going to be on the bottom here. That's where we're going to do the black. We're going to make smiley faces around the outside of our circle and just kind of work our way in a little bit. So there's a smiley face, smiley face, smiley face, and we're just kind of slowly working our way in, and then I kind of just pull back. So we work our way in, and then we just kind of work our way back. That's usually enough for me. If you feel the need, right? So maybe you have like a really light paint, okay, for example, and you have to go ahead, smiley face, we work our way in, work our way back, but let's say it's not covering all of the planet, it's like bleeding through, whatever it is, and you have to work your way back in a third time. Like we did 1, 2, and then you have to go back in 3. When we work our way back in again, my best advice to get the best faded effect is you don't go all the way in that you did the first time. So let's say, I'm trying to explain this best I can. Let's say we start here, we work our way into the planet to right here. When we pull back, right, you pull back, and we go back in again, we're not going to go back all the way up to this point that we stopped the first time. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, right? That's the best way that I can explain how to do the shading, if you need to go 3 times. If you need to make 3 trips. But let's go ahead and flip this around. We're going to do the same thing with the highlighting, right? And it's going to be a smiley face of white this time. We're going to pull back our can, smiley face along the outside of our circle. Let the overspray do most of the work. You just kind of want that smiley face sort of thing. A lot of that paint is bleeding through, but we're going to roll with it anyway. Now, if you want the best results, you should let this paint dry. Okay, I'm glad it does make sense. And if I see any questions during the live, I will answer them, but at the end, I will answer anything, like everything and anything. You should let this dry to get the best results, but we don't do that here. So cover it up with your plate. Make sure to get that highlight, make sure to get that shading. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and cover this up, right? Cover it up with some black. Make sure you get around your stencil really nice. It should be one of the first things that you do. Right, get around that stencil. You don't want any gaps, nothing crazy. And remember, you don't need to use too much paint, okay? And we're going to add color to this. So you see how we have a lot of black space up there. Black didn't cover completely. It's not that big of a deal because we're going to add color. All right, so let's just stick with the purple and the orange since that's kind of what we have going on here. Now, purple is our darker color. This is actually not my purple. Here's my purple. So let's go ahead and try to aim our darker color. And you can use whatever colors you want here. But let's say our darker color, we're going to hit along the edges of our poster board here, and then the lighter color will go around the planet. All right, how about that? So we're going to pull back our can again because we want just kind of like a misty, cloudy sort of pop of color into this space, into the space scene. So we're just going to hit the corners basically with this purple. I'm pulling back that can, and I'm just rotating my poster around just to make it easier to spray down. It's not really necessary. And let's grab our orange now. And we're going to do the same thing. Remember, we don't want to go too close, okay? That is no good. We want something that's just like a little pop and mist of color. That's all we want. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing, except let's hit around the planet with this orange, right? Because this is our lighter color in this scenario. I'm just kind of spraying around this planet. And notice, we're just doing little bursts. Little bursts. We're not steadily holding down the nozzle. Just little bursts. And it looks like this cap is about done. All good. For those of you who are wondering about the caps clogging, I just let them clog. I use them until they can't be used anymore. Oh, holy shit, this fat cap is wild. Alright, that looks pretty good. And if we wanted to add another color, you could. Maybe you wanted to add a little mist of yellow. Make sure to shake your cans forever and always. That looks pretty good. Maybe you want just a lighter color. You want something a little lighter than that orange. Add a little bit of yellow. Why not? Now let's grab some white for stars, right? If you have, if you want a different kind of stars, I recommend hologram or holographic glitter by Montana. That is fantastic. You can use that for like a starry night and it'll look great. However, we don't got that today, and it's pretty expensive, all right? But what we're gonna do is we're gonna spray some white onto the finger, flick to the side, at least 2 times to the side, and then we go ahead and we flick onto our painting. All right, everyone's is going to be different. If you have a really runny, thin type of paint, you're going to have to flick a little bit more to the side, but we just want to make sure that we get those big, nasty blobs away from our painting. We don't want those. And I really like these colors. I really like how they faded together. They look really great. I can't wait to see what this looks like. I'm going to just add a little bit more. I like to add a lot of stars. It's just a personal preference. But once you're done, we can go ahead and lift this up. If it'll... There we go. We're a little stuck. There we go. There we go. That looks really good, actually. I like that. Now, we just did this with the last painting, but let's go ahead and redo it. If you don't let your paint dry before you place the stencil, occasionally what you'll get is the Ring of Doom. It looks like we got a little bit of it right there. So if you don't let the paint dry and you lift up your stencil, it's going to take some of that white with it and leave that mark. If this doesn't bother you, power to you. I'm really happy for you, okay? However, I feel like we have a bit of a gap here, which is natural with just having a stencil. It's natural. That is kind of bothering me, and also I would like to cover up those marks. So here's how you can do it. Rip yourself off a piece of poster board that has this flat edge to it. And I recommend you practice this anyway, because this technique can transfer to a lot of different things. Okay, but we're going to kind of bend this. We're going to bend it and curve it so it aligns with the curvature of the planet. You see, we're basically aligned perfectly. And we're going to hover, right? We're just a centimeter or two right above our painting. And what we're going to do is we're going to spray white on here. Okay? We're just going to spray the white there, and it's going to give us a nice glow downwards. Just like that. And I usually don't go into the shading, because, you know, it's shading. It's black, not white. Alright, so let's go all the way around. It'll give a nice glow to our planet, and it'll also cover up any imperfections, or kind of cover up. It won't 100% fix any of the imperfections from the Ring of Doom, but it'll get most of it, right? It'll make it look better. So there we go. We have a nice glow. It also covers up that gap quite a bit, right? You could do the same thing with the shading on the other side, but I'm not going to go for it. That looks pretty solid. So let's grab our clear coat, because I think this is just about done. Let's grab our clear coat and give it one final glossy layer. And we're going to spray a little bit more in the corner, just because it does re-wet the paint. Okay, and that's also, hold on, write my signature in the corner. 2023 is the year, and a squiggle. Since the clear coat does re-wet the paint, which is what we use it for most of the time, you have to be careful when you're giving it that final coat, when you're done your painting, okay? Don't use too much of this, because it will re-wet that paint, and if you use too much of this clear, it'll start puddling and pulling together, and it'll ruin what you've made, okay? And that's no good. We don't like that. But this is pretty solid. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one that we did, right? We did two very different techniques here, but they both look spectacular. This was the first one that we did. Swiping technique, very beautiful. Looks like a water planet. It's gorgeous. Okay, and then this is the second one that we did. To me, this technique is more fun, but I mean, this also just looks really good. I can't actually tell you what's better. All right. Now, since we've learned how to do the planets, we've learned a couple of different techniques now. Now let's learn how to do an actual, like, cool galaxy sort of thing. Okay. We're actually going to use a bit of a bigger poster here today, so I'm going to throw that to the side. We're going to use, I picked these up from Hobby Lobby just because they didn't have my small ones. And for those of you who are confused about the poster board, this is the exact brand that I get from Hobby Lobby. The only things I ever look for is it says acid-free and uncoated. If it doesn't say anything about either, it's okay. It's okay. It's usually a good sign. But if it says coated, this is what it means when it says coated. It basically means that it's a dry erase board, right? And a lot of times paint won't set right on a dry erase board. So the blue one, yeah, the blue one looks really good. Okay. But let's go ahead and do, yeah, perfect. We'll do it this way. Let's go ahead and learn how to make a really cool galaxy here. Alright. So let's get some colors. Well, let's throw some planet stencils down first, I guess. Let's go ahead and throw them down. We'll stick with our big one. Maybe we want like a big one right here. And we'll go ahead, and maybe we'll have 3 planets, right? We'll go ahead, we're actually going to make a planet a different way. We're going to make a planet in this painting using a roll of tape. This is a favorite technique of mine, and it is really not that difficult to do. I think it makes people nervous, so they don't try it, and it sucks, because it's a great technique. Can you do a video of a studio tour? My studio is not really much of anything, I'm going to be completely honest with you, but I can show you what it looks like real quick. Like, I just have shelves of basically shit. All of my poster boards, all my scrap, and literally just trash everywhere. It's not much of anything. I just have shit thrown around. Alright, so give me some colors here. Let's go ahead. I like the placement of these planets here, so let's outline them. Right? This will help us make sure we know exactly where to be putting this paint. I see purple. Let's go for it. I see blue. I see blue. I see purple. Glossy poster board is the best to use. Alright, I see a lot. Okay, so I saw purple and blue. So let's go ahead and say, let's do a classic technique here. This is the most recognizable technique of planets that probably exist. So the way that I like to do this is I like to go lighter to darker. So the first two colors that I saw here were purple and blue. So let's go ahead. This is my lightest purple that I have. I'm just going to go ahead and fill this circle in completely. This is my lightest purple. Now let's go ahead and put a blue right on top of it. I think this is just a little bit darker, right? This is just all about layers. And then let's go ahead and top it off with whatever the hell this is. I think it's like a dark blue. This is the classic technique. It's just stacking colors on top of each other. That's all that this is. Alright, and now we're going to go ahead and grab a neutral. You can use black, you can use white, or you can use both. Okay? For the sake of this painting, I think I'm going to use both, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just top it off with some black down here at the bottom. And let's go ahead and top it off with white at the top. Now go ahead and get yourself, you can use a plastic bag, you can use newspaper, you can use magazine pages, whatever is handy, convenient for you to find. Just make sure that has wrinkles in it. So the plastic bag will usually have like natural wrinkles already in it. However, just crumple up the page, we have all those wrinkles, very nice, and also make sure that this paint is still wet. You can make sure the paint is still wet using the clear coat. Right, so we're just going to give that a quick layer. Now you don't need to use too much pressure when you do this. We're just going to kind of place it, give it a quick swipe, and then lift. Right, we're going to place, swipe, and lift. Place, swipe, and lift. And you can see all of those colors coming through. Let's just hit up there again. You see all those colors coming through. We have that really light purple peeking through in certain places. We have that medium blue, and then we also still have all of that darker blue or purple or whatever that color was. This is the classic planet technique. Very easy. Very easy. Alright, now what were some other colors that I saw here? I'm just going to go back to what we had. So we have that purple. I see yellow. I don't want to use metallics. Metallics don't usually mix well with other paints. But I see yellow, and I see green, and I see orange. Okay, so those were the first colors that I saw. Yellow, green, and orange. Let's go ahead and make this planet. We'll do the swiping technique, except we'll go against the flow of the paint. Okay, very cool. So we have yellow, we have green, and I think it was orange, right? Throw the paint wherever you want. There is no solid... Yeah, always start with little pressure. Okay, so if you think you're doing too much pressure, that's common, okay? Because spray paint is new for a lot of people, and you're not going to be comfortable with it 100% yet. Always start with the least amount of pressure first, and then decide if you need to add more or not, okay? It's always better to start with less, okay? But let's go ahead. This planet, we're going to use the swiping technique. We're just going to add little stripes of paint randomly. Don't think too much into this. We have the yellow, we have the orange, we have the green. Okay, just like that. I think I'm going to add a little bit more orange. You can also add some neutral in there as well. You can add some white, add some black. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of white. Let's just add a nice little squiggle of white right there. Now make sure, that is a lot of paint, okay? There's already a lot of paint there, but if it's dry, use the clear coat to re-wet it, okay? So we don't need to do this, but just for the sake of the video, right? And this time, you see how we have that flow, right? We did basically stripes of paint, even if they're a little squiggly, but they're going this way. So let's go ahead and swipe against that. I'm just gonna take my finger, I'm gonna go ahead and swipe against all of those colors right there. And it's gonna go ahead and mix them together and blend them together. Now, if you decide that you don't like that, right? I think we have a whole lot of just brown right there, and it looks kind of weird. I like the green that we have. I think we can use a little bit more yellow. So I'm going to put a little stripe of yellow in there, and I think, let's just kind of swipe that in and see how that looks. Okay. I like it. I like it. So let's roll with it. But if you don't like what your planet's looking like, you can add some stuff to it, alright? Don't think too much into it. Alright, so now let's do our shading and highlighting. Right? Smiley faces. Grab your black. And now we're going to do a galaxy thing, and our light source is going to be right in the middle, okay? We've already decided on this. Light source is going to go in the middle, which means that the highlighting of our planet is going to go on the side of the planet that's closer to that light source. Our light source is in the middle, which means the highlight is going to be on this side of the planet right here, and it's going to be on this side of this planet over here. And the shading will go on the opposite side. I hope that makes sense. All right, but let's go ahead and start with the shading. So down here, we're going to make some smiley faces. Remember, don't be too close. That's no good. Pull your can back, find your distance. Smiley face, work your way in, and then just kind of work your way back. If you need to work your way in again, just don't go as far as you did the first time. Good? All right. And let's go ahead. Well, actually, let's just do the shading on this one as well. Now, if you're having a hard time controlling your shading, or you have a smaller type of planet, which this one's not too small, but for the sake of for the sake of teaching, we're just going to say that it's really small and we can't freehand the shading and the highlighting. Grab yourself some poster board. Tear yourself off a piece of poster board that has that flat edge to it. And we're just going to curve this so it aligns with the curvature of the planet. We're just going to kind of spray here on the tool, right? And it'll give us that nice defined sort of shade. See? Right? We just kind of curved it like a smiley face. And we're just going to spray the tool down. And it'll give us that nice defined shading. So if you're having a hard time controlling that, go ahead and grab some poster board, right? Go ahead and make a little tool. Now let's do some white. We're going to do the highlighting on the opposite side. Now for the highlighting, you don't need to do as much black, okay? You really don't. We're going to let the overspray do most of the work. But we're going to do the same thing over here, just a little bit of a white smiley face on the opposite side of where our shading is. Now we're going to go ahead and flip this around, and we're going to make a little smiley face on this side of the planet over here, because it's the opposite of our shading, right? It's also on the side of the planet that will be closer to our light source in the middle. Remember, find your distance. You don't need to be too close, and let the overspray do most of the work, and just kind of make a smiley face on the outside. All right, now if you want the best results, you should let the paint dry. We don't do that around here, so go ahead and grab your stencils and place them. Make sure you get some of that shading, make sure you get some of that highlighting. Just gonna place that down there. I'm gonna place this down right about here. All right, now let's get some new colors in here. They don't have to be the same colors that we've used. Let's get some new colors. Do a dark background. Well, it's probably going to be really dark anyway. Okay, say a light blue. I like it. I see a light blue. That would be this. I see red. That would be that. Purple again. Let's go for it. Purple, blue. Okay, so that's 4 colors right there. Right there. There. Jeez. Oh, I see a lot of pink. A lot of people want pink too. So let's go ahead and add pink to it. Why not? We have a really light, like baby pink. Like it almost looks white, but I like that. That's good. All right, now whatever colors that you pick, they don't need to make sense, okay? These are space paintings, sci-fi, whatever you want to call it. They're meant to be fun, okay? They're meant to be not challenging and just fun to do. Don't think too much about the colors, okay? Just don't. It's okay. You don't need to. But let's go ahead and grab all the colors that you guys just gave me and just align them from lighter to darker. Now, the pink is definitely the lightest, so I'm just going to put that there. That light blue is also really light, so let's just go ahead and put that in the number 2 slot. What do we got? This medium blue is definitely number 3. And I think red and purple are basically at a tie, but I'll just say that purple is the darkest. Okay, so I have aligned them. Look, lighter to darker. As best as I could. Okay, it's probably not perfect. It's fine. Don't worry too much about it. And it doesn't matter which way you start. You can start with the darker colors. You can start with the lighter colors. I'm going to start with the lightest one, which is our pink here. Our light source is going to be the lightest point of this painting. So I'm going to take that pink, and I'm going to put down a little blob of pink right there. It's really hard to see because it's super light, but it's fine. Now I'm going to take that next lightest color, our number 2, which is this light blue, and we're just going to go ahead and make a circle around that pink. It doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, don't worry too much about it. Now we're going to go to our number 3 here. Right, just work around that blue. If you want to kind of fade these colors together, you can. And now if you want to fade colors together, here's how you do it. It's not that hard. Let's go to our number 4, which is our red. If you want to fade these colors together, it's just about finding your distance. That's it. So we're going to pull back our can a lot, and we're just going to kind of eat away at that blue. That's it. And that is how we kind of fade together different colors. If that is something that, like, matters to you a lot. So we're just getting lighter to darker. That's all that's happening here. And then finally we have this purple. Just working around that red. Now these colors don't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, the pink to the blue to the darker blue, that kind of was fine, and then we just jumped to red somehow. Okay, so we skipped a lot there. But it's gonna work. It's gonna work. Trust. Trust. Trust the process, okay? Now you should let this paint dry. We're not going to, right? And when I say dry, it's usually best to just let this sit for like 30 to 60 seconds. But we're not really gonna do that. We're just gonna go ahead and cover it up with black. So cover up everything with black. Make sure to get around your stencils. All right, we want to get around those stencils. Remember, don't use too much paint. You don't need to use too much paint. Okay? Your wallet will appreciate it. But more importantly, your actual painting will appreciate it as well. So I just want to get these cans out of my way. Let's get back to covering it up. And don't worry too much about it being completely covered, right? Don't worry about that. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our clear coat. And you want to go ahead and grab, once again, so once again, if you want to screenshot that, you can. But also you want to grab some magazines, some newspaper, or plastic bags, again, whatever's convenient for you to find. But we're just going to hit that with clear coat to re-wet the paint. Now you can just crumple up your page and get the random wrinkles again, okay? Or you can go ahead and like give it an actual pattern. So if you wanted to, this is one of my favorites. But what you can do is I'll just stick my finger in the middle of the page and just kind of fold it around my finger. Like that, right? You can fold these however you want if you want a specific pattern, right? So when we uncrumple it, we see we have like this starting point and then all of the lines kind of arch out, kind of like a starburst sort of thing. It's really cool. So let's hit this with some more clear coat just to be sure. But let's go ahead and place this down. Very similar to how we did the planet down here. We're just going to place this down. You don't need to use too much pressure. And also try not to move your planet stencils. That's the most important part here. And then we're going to lift. So I think we can use a little bit more up there. And then just lift. So you see we have, it's not like the random wrinkles, which we will do both. We have that starting point and then the texture just kind of, they're like lines and they go outward. So you can fold up your pages however you want. And they'll always look really cool in my opinion. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry, there was a noise in my house. Alright, but anyway, if you don't want to do all that, you can just crumple it up and uncrumple. And we can do it this way. So let's grab more clear coat to re-wet this paint. And also notice all of those colors that we just did, they're starting to peek through, aren't they? Right, it's looking really cool. So if we want to do just the random wrinkles, we can do that. Remember, we're just placing, swiping, and then lifting. That's all we're doing here. Place, swipe, try not to move the stencil, and lift. It almost looks like the Bomb Pop sort of thing again, huh? We had this last week, where we made something and the colors that we used were just very like Bomb Pop-like. Red, white, and blue. So there we go. Just kind of letting all of those wrinkles do most of the work here. We can even go behind this planet a little bit. Just make sure we don't move that. And if it starts getting really difficult to lift up, like it is right here, consider using more clear coat to re-wet that paint again. But that looks really cool. Yeah, so down here, definitely use more clear coat. Now, what I want you to go ahead and do, oh, we didn't go as far as the purple. Let's try to go get that purple. Here we go. Okay, now I'm happy. So this is a really easy way to do a galaxy. This isn't too difficult at all. Come on. Easy. Let's go ahead. Well, first of all, I want to pull us back a little bit. Let's maybe get away from that sunlight, that glare. Okay, there we go. Let's grab those colors again, though. So we had that pink, we had that light blue, the medium blue, and then red and purple. That's what we had here. And what we're going to do is we're going to find our distance. So we have our pink here. Really pull back this can. Everyone's is going to be different, but we just want to add the color to this galaxy. We don't want to overtake the texture. We don't want to cover up anything that we just did. We just want to add little pops of color. So I'm just going to add a little boop of that pink right in the middle. It actually might be easier to go from darker to lighter in this situation. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start with our darker color, which was the purple. Remember, pull back your can. And we're just going to spray over that texture that we just did real quick. Just little pops of that purple. We're going to grab, what was it, red next? Red was our next darkest. So we're just going to go over. We see all this red over here? Boop. All this red right here? That's great. Pull back our can of red. We're just going to add a little bit of color over top of that. We're not overtaking the texture. We're not covering it up. We're just adding to it. Right? And it's going to look spectacular. And then we had that medium blue. So let's grab that medium blue. We'll pull back our can. And there was that lighter blue. Just finding our distance. And the distance, you've noticed, every can has been at a different distance because I have different caps on my cans. Okay? That's why you usually have to experiment first. And then let's grab, is this the pink? That is magenta. Where's our pink? That little boop of pink right in the middle. And there we go. We've added some color. It looks great. It looks spectacular. Let's go ahead and just adjust you guys a little bit. And let's add our stars now. I'm also going to add a really big star right here, but let's go ahead and add our smaller stars first. Same thing as before. We're going to spray some white off onto our finger like this, and we're going to flick to the side 1, 2, maybe 3 times just to get those big blobs off. So let's go ahead and shift you guys over so you can actually see what the fuck I'm talking about. We spray some white onto the finger, 1, 2 to the side just to get the big nasty blobs off, and then we go ahead and we flick onto our painting. Alright? So spray it on the finger, flick to the side a few times, and then flick onto your painting. Everyone's is going to be different. If you're using something really thick, like Montana Gold is a really thick paint, you might not have to flick to the side as many times. But also, with the thicker paints, sometimes it just doesn't matter. Sometimes it'll like make little, I guess, streaks almost, which I actually don't think are too terrible because they almost look like comets. Really cool. But just keep that in mind with the thicker paints. If you're having that problem, it's not you, it's the paint. And also, don't worry too much about it. Don't stress. So let's go ahead and add that big star here. We're going to grab some white. You're going to grab a straight edge of some sorts. You can use a poster board with the flat edge just like this if you don't have an actual tool. Or if you have a putty knife, this is probably the best thing, right? So just perfectly straight. It's a stainless steel blade, so it's not going to move around and you'll get that perfect straight line. Here's the idea. We're going to spray the white onto the tool. We're not going to spray it onto the paint, we're going to spray it onto the tool. Now when we hover, literally a centimeter, maybe 2 centimeters above the painting, we don't place it on the painting because if the paint's still wet, it'll leave a mark. So we're just going to hover, and when we spray here, it's going to leave a line. So let's go ahead and just make our start. We're going to spray one little line there. We're going to cross it over. We're going to spray another little line there. And I'm just spraying the tool to do that. And then we can add a little boop of white if we wanted to. Which, you know what, I like the idea of having a bigger star here. And I don't think this putty knife is quite going to cut it. So what we can actually do is grab a way bigger straight edge, right? And once again, you could just use a poster board, just cut yourself off a longer piece or tear yourself off a longer piece. Let's say that I want this star to be a lot bigger. And we're just going to cross it over and we have like a little X, right? And we can also go ahead and make an X within the X, or a cross within the cross. And I'm just spraying the straight edge itself. I'm not spraying the painting, I'm spraying the straight edge. And if you want to, if you're feeling confident, you can add a little boop of white in the middle as well. It's going to require some accuracy though. Alright, now this is looking pretty bare though. But we learned how to do a galaxy, a really easy galaxy. Let's go ahead and lift up these stencils. And there we go. There's one. We're definitely going to touch up on the highlighting on that. And then, oh, I almost forgot. We're going to do another planet over here. So we're actually going to add another planet. You know what we'll do? We'll add it right here, like overlapping almost. So here's how we can do that. Really easy, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little boop of black right where I want this planet. So I'm just going to add a little tiny boop of black. Now what I'm going to do is, as soon as I can find it, oh, here it is get a roll of tape. Get a roll of tape like this. Okay? Just painter's tape that I've been using. It's maybe like 2 inches wide. Okay? The wider the better, the easier that this will be, right? And what you can actually do is the way that I'm going to hold this, we're going to treat this like a backboard. So basically you're going to spray on the inside of the roll of tape, and it's going to give us like a nice crescent sort of looking planet. And you can use whatever colors you want for this. If you want to use just white, it'll look like a moon, it'll look dope. But if you want, I'm just going to cup my hand like this to extend the backboard in case I miss. Alright? So let's go ahead and go for this. We also want to remember this is our light source here, which means our color is going to be on this side over here. So let's see if we can kind of shift this around to make sure you guys can see it. Maybe. Oh, you guys can kind of see that fine. Okay. So what we're going to do, let's say we want, I like the idea of yellow. So I'm going to take some yellow, and I'm just going to spray the inside of this tape right here. We're going to hover right above our painting. Just work our way in a little bit. And see, we have that kind of crescent sort of thing. But now I want to add that highlight, right? Can't forget about our white. Can't forget about our highlight. So I'm just going to go back over. I'm just going to spray the inside here with the white. And that is how we can do like a crescent sort of planet. Really nice. I actually want to go over a little bit more. Solid. I never see anyone use that technique, and it makes me sad. So I always like to show it off. Anyway, there we go. Oh, maybe yellow wasn't the move. I forgot that was the color of that planet over there. No, it is what it is. All right. So let's go ahead and add a few more things to this. So let's add some comments. I want you to go ahead and get some poster board again. And you know what? I don't think... Yeah, no, it can be this big. Flat edge. And we're going to go ahead and just fold it. Kind of fold it so we have a bend right there. I want to kind of show this off, right? We have that kind of opening down there. Now when you flip this around, right, this is what it looks like. My camera can't really focus all that well, but there we go. We're going to treat this like a funnel though. Now if you want your comments to be more open towards the end, you want to focus your pressure more towards the bend of the card here. Now, if you want them to be closed, like I like to have them closed, we're going to focus our pressure more to the back to close it. Like so. Now let's add some comments. And all we're going to do is we're going to hover and just shoot some white on the inside of these cards here. And remember, little bursts of white. We don't want to hold it down. You don't want to use too much paint. Nothing like that. Just little bursts. Little bursts. Okay, nothing crazy. So let's make a bunch over here. Just going to spray the inside of this card and move it around. Make a bunch of little comments. Just like that. Pretty cool, right? I'm always live on Sundays. I'm also usually live on Saturdays as well. Alright, Saturdays are intermediate classes, Sundays are our beginner classes. Now let's add some more comments. I like the idea of maybe a few little comments, maybe in front of this planet? Should we go in front of the planet? Well, yeah, fuck it, we'll go in front of the planet. Right, so let's add a few more. Just kind of folding this, right? We have that little bend there. We're just going to spray some white on the inside. Remember, these tools will start dripping, right? Because paint will drip. So you might just need to wipe it off every once in a while, right? I usually just wipe them off on my pants and we're good to go. But if they start to drip, it's going to make you sad. So always keep an eye on it. Alright, now let's add some little asteroids as well, right? Because this is a really big painting. We can add a lot here. So let's go ahead and add some asteroids. Let's grab some black, and we're just going to spray it to the side. Just spraying it to the side on my table. Now this is really, really hard, okay? So I want you guys to pay attention here. I'm even going to get you guys out of the booster seat, because this is really difficult, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to handle it here. We sprayed the black to the side. You're going to take your finger, double take 3 times. 1, 2, 3, okay? And then you're going to come over to your painting, and ever so gently make little boops. Okay? No, but for real, this is really easy. Just finger paint some blobs in there. Boop, boop, boop. You can add some little asteroids. Okay? Easy. This is also a really good way to cover up any mistakes that you have. Maybe you accidentally got a really blobby star and it's upsetting you. Go ahead and add some asteroids, okay? Now, if you want some, like, distant asteroids, you can do this the same way that we did our stars, right? We can just spray some black onto the finger. We can flick maybe once to the side, but go ahead and just flick some black in there, right? And you'll get those really distant asteroids. And I'll get you guys out of the booster seat again so you can see. But you know what? I like the idea of having asteroids basically circle this planet here. So let's go ahead and do that. And you can leave them silhouetted if you want. Or you can go ahead and highlight them, which I think I will do. Maybe we'll have like a stray asteroid up there. Okay? This is so easy, man. So easy. These techniques, you can do a lot with them, and I'm going to show you can do a lot with them. We're going to make a dope painting at the end of this class, right? But we're just learning the basics, right? We've learned how to do the planet a couple of different ways, right? We've learned how to do a really easy galaxy, and now we've learned how to make some booparoids, right? Some asteroids. Now, if you want to highlight them, oh, also, like I said, you can get those like distant little specks of black using the flicking technique, right? Just spray some black onto the finger and flick them down, and you'll have those distant asteroids. So, let's grab some clear coat now, right? This is all that I'm using. And let's just spray some of these asteroids again. You can leave them silhouetted if you want. It's just not my style. Now, I want you to grab something sharp. I'm just going to use an angled palette knife. This is my baby. Now, once again, we're going to think of this star right here. This is our light source, which means when the light is hitting these asteroids, it's going to hit the side of the asteroid that's closer to that light source. Very simple. So it's going to be this side of this asteroid. I'm just going to use the point of my knife and carve out that side. See? And then we can go ahead and make like a few lines in there, a few little lines of highlights. Just going to trace along that side. Trace along that side. We can add little highlights. Just whatever side is facing that light source. That's it. That's it. We're going to make more planets, don't worry. And actually, in the next painting, I think we're going to do cities. Cities are always really fun. Right? But these techniques are easy, and we're gonna make really something really dope at the end. All right, so let's clear coat these again. This just re-wets the paint. That's all that this does. And let's go ahead and highlight these asteroids real quick. Just, you can use anything sharp here. You could probably just use poster board, like a little corner of some poster board. Have some down here. I'm gonna try not to spend too much time on these. Just gonna kind of outline the sides of these. And we have one down here. There we go. Looks pretty good. Looks really good. Alright, so let's go ahead and touch up on this planet though. I think this planet could use a glow. So let's add a glow. Grab yourself, like I said, like we did before, we're gonna tear off a piece of poster board that has a flat edge like this. And we're just going to curve it. This can is about to clog on me. Alright. Hopefully we can get through it. We're going to curve this so it aligns with the planet. See how we have it curved with the planet there? It almost aligns perfectly. And we're going to hover maybe like a centimeter above the painting, and we're going to spray the white here on the tool. That's all that we're going to do. And this will cover up any marks that the stencil left. And this will also add a really nice glow to your planet. It'll really make these pop off the page. So let's go ahead and just spin this, make it more comfortable. Just curving it so it aligns with the curvature of that planet, and I'm hovering. Alright, and I also leave the shading alone. I'm only basically reapplying a highlight. That's all that we're doing. We could do it over here, although I think that planet looks fine, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And that planet this looks 10 times better than it did like 20 seconds ago. So, this is really great. And I think this is great to leave it off at before we move on to our next painting. So let's go ahead and seal it up. We're just going to use some clear coat here, gloss clear. Try to give it a nice even layer. You don't need to use too much paint here, remember, because this stuff is going to re-wet the paint if you use too much. So just go through it real quick. I'm going to use just a little bit more down here at the corner because that's where I signed my name. And like I said, I think the easiest way to sign your name with spray painting is just get something sharp and kind of scrape your signature in there. I like to add the gear, and then of course a nice swiggle. So there we go. We've done the planets, we've done a couple of more planets some different ways, and now we have added the galaxy. Right, this galaxy is really simple, really easy, but really effective. Right, just some newspaper. If you have some newspaper, you have some magazines, you can get it. Alright? So, and all those colors that we placed down before, it works, right? The colors on paper may have sounded like they weren't going to work, but they do. And that's the beauty of these space paintings, right? They're easy and you don't have to think about colors. You can just kind of do it. All right, so let's go ahead and make a city. So let's do a small one here. Let's grab some tape. I like to just tape down my poster boards, and I will show you guys once again, for everyone who just jumped in here, what I like to use. You can use canvas. I just think if you're a beginner, it's kind of a waste of money because you're usually not happy with your first painting anyway. So I recommend poster board. But if you are going to use canvas, just make sure that it's primed and all of the techniques will work. You can get one that's pre-primed, or you can prime it yourself. Or, this is what I do recommend for beginners, is glossy poster board. Right, the only things I ever look for are acid-free and uncoated, but just open it up. Make sure it has that glossy side to it. That's the side that we paint on. And you'll be good to go. Alright, so I don't think I'm going to do too big of a planet here. Maybe we'll make a planet, actually, no, we'll go with a smaller planet here. Let's go with, still want something that's kind of big. Maybe we'll do something like this. Alright, we'll do something like that. Alright. No, like actual primer. Yeah, you're going to want actual primer for the canvases. I just recommend picking up one that's pre-primed already. Like, it's worth the extra couple bucks, and, you know, it's less stress and less work. Alright, so let's go ahead and outline this. I'm just going to have a planet up top, and we can make this, actually this planet might be too big for a ring, but let's just outline that, and let's think about what color we want our city to be, right? Yeah, okay. So let's get some, how about, actually, fuck all your colors. Let's just do every color. Good enough? Right? We'll just do like every color that we have here. So let's start off. Red is my first color. I'm just going to go ahead and spray this entire thing. Just going to spray the entire thing. The first layer is always so important, right? So the left side of our city is going to turn out red, right? And then we're going to go ahead and just make a little bit of orange. That was a lot of orange. Let's go to the yellow. Let's go to whatever, what is this? Oh, it's like a lime. Just gonna make stripes of every color that I got. Actually, I don't think we have enough room for that. Well, we'll go as far as we can. I think as far as we can go with purple. And that purple is really similar to that blue, so we're going to roll with it. Alright, we have this whole rainbow thing going on. So, for this planet, what kind of technique do we want to use here? Let's just go, we've done the swiping technique already, we did the spinning technique. I'm trying to think of one that we haven't done, but I think we have done all of them. Let's go ahead and do the swiping technique here. Oh, we could do the starburst thing. Okay, so let's do the starburst thing. So let's go ahead and cover this up with a neutral here. Remember, our planet's right here. We already added all of our color. Let's just go ahead and add, I like the idea of white over top of this as our neutral. I think black will be too dark. So I'm going to cover that up with the white. Now I'm going to you can grab some newspaper, some magazine pages, whatever is convenient to you. And I like the idea of doing the starburst again. So I'm just going to take my page, and I'm just going to kind of put my finger in the middle of it and try to fold this page around it. And that was really bad. It just did not fold the way I wanted it to, but let's roll with it anyway. I'm just going to kind of crumple it up. I'm going to go, and if, like I said, if you want like a random wrinkle, just crumple up the page and uncrumple it. But there we go. That actually doesn't look too bad. So we see it has that starting point, and then the lines kind of arch out in every direction. Looks really cool. Alright. Let's use some clear coat. This is going to re-wet the paint. We just want to make sure that this paint on the planet is still wet. And we're going to place this down. Place down your page. You kind of want to just like tap it down, swipe it down. Just make sure the page is making contact. You don't need to use too much pressure though. And then we're going to lift. Oh, I think we need a little bit more pressure right there. But there we go. That looks really cool. That looks really cool actually. I like that. I like that a lot. Alright. And then for the shading, let's just go ahead and say our shading's going to be on the on the bottom of our city here. So remember, this is all just smiley faces. Take your black. Remember, you don't want to hold this too close. That's no good. Pull back your can, find your distance. That will give you that nice shaded cloudy effect. And we're just going to make smiley faces. And we're going to work our way in ever so slightly. Ever so slightly, okay? So smiley face motions. Just going to kind of work our way in a little bit. And I think that actually looks fine, the way that it is right there. Now let's go ahead and flip this around. We're going to do some white smiley faces on the other side. We're just going to spray to the outside of the circle a little bit. Let the overspray do most of the work. Smiley face. Just like that. It doesn't look like much. It may look like it's going to be a whole lot of nothing, but it will be. Alright, now if you want the best results, you should let this dry. However, we don't do that. So we're going to place our stencil down. And let's just go ahead and make our sky. So let's go ahead and cover this up with black. Make sure to get around your stencil. Should always be one of the first things that you do. You want that clean, crisp line. And we're going to cover up this whole thing here. Just fill it all in. Don't worry about that city. We haven't forgotten about that city yet. Alright. Now let's go ahead and add some color to this. We're not even going to do like a galaxy or anything like that. Let's just go ahead and add some color. So let's grab maybe some of the colors we weren't able to fit in the first time around. So we have this magenta that I wasn't able to use. We have, what is that? That baby pink. And what is this? Oh, it's gray. I really like the idea of gray, actually. So let's do it. I'm going to go ahead. Let's find our distance again, because we want these to just be faded, add little pops of color, right? We don't want it to be too strong. We're going to pull back our can a little bit. Ooh, that can just fucking died on me. All good. Let's just get another cap. Let's cover up all that splatter that just made. I'm not going to worry too much about it, though. All right. With a brand new cap, let's try this again. Pull back our can. We're just going to add little pockets of that gray. I really like the idea of like that boring gray around all of that color, right? I like that. That's a cool idea. And we also missed out on some pink. So I'm going to pull back my can again and just add little pockets of pink down here. Just around the gray. And then let's add some magenta. Just because I wasn't able to fit this in the first time around. Now if you think that you did too much color, which I think we have way too much right here. Way too much gray. Just take your black and add little pockets of black. Right? Same thing. We're going to pull back that can, just darken it up a little bit. Now let's do our stars. Remember, hologram glitter, or holographic glitter, whatever it's called, by Montana is amazing. Amazing for this sort of thing. But we don't have that today. So spray some white onto your finger, just like so. And you're going to flick it to the side 1, 2, maybe 3 times, depends on how runny your paint is, and then you're going to flick onto the painting. You can, if you don't want to use your finger, you don't want to flick it down, you can use like an old toothbrush. Same idea, just spray it onto the toothbrush and then flick the little, what are they called? The little bristle, whatever they're called. You know what I'm talking about. You just kind of flick them on, right? But these are in my opinion, the easiest way to have the most control over your stars. Anyway, let's go ahead and lift that bad boy up. That looks spectacular. And let's add some more comets. So for those of you who just joined us, you're going to take some poster board that has a flat edge like this, and we're just going to kind of fold it, and we're going to bend it just on one side, right? Just on that flat side there, right? And it's going to have that sort of opening. And we're going to flip it around, and it's kind of like a funnel now. See? Funnel. Now, if you want your comets to be open towards the end, you're going to focus your pressure towards the bend, right? If you want them to be closed, you just focus your pressure more towards the back and you close it up. This is really easy. We're going to spray some white. You know, how about we just have them go like straight up? I like the idea of that, right? So we'll just have these comets go like straight up. I'm just going to hover right above the painting. We're not going to place it on the painting because the paint's still wet. It'll leave a mark. And we're just going to spray some white on the inside of these, this little tool, our little comet tool. And we're going to have some of them actually go in front of the planet. So let's go ahead and touch up on this planet a little bit. Let's add that glow. So grab yourself another poster board. We just tear off pieces of poster board that have flat edges, right? For real. That's all we do. And we're just going to curve this so it aligns with the curvature of the planet right there. Once again, hovering just a few centimeter or two above the painting. And we're going to spray this tool here. We're not going to spray the painting. We're going to spray this tool here with the white. And it's going to add a nice little glow. So let's go around there. touch up on that highlight, cover up any imperfections, any gaps, any shadows that we have that we don't like, and also just make this planet overall a lot better. And we just stop at the shading, right? Just stop at the shading. So I think we can go down a little further right here. Right there, that planet looks 10 times better. Come on. This was not meant to support anything. This was just us deciding to use every color, all right? But let's go ahead and keep adding our comets, because I like the idea of having comets actually go in front of this planet a little bit. So let's go ahead and keep doing this. Remember, we just folded up a piece of poster board, and we're going to spray some white on the inside here. And I'm just going to have all of them kind of go up. And remember, your tool might start dripping, so just keep an eye on that. Looks really cool. I think they're a little crooked, but that's fine. That's fine. We have all these comets going up. It's really cool, actually. It's really cool. Let's add just a couple more down here. Or a few more, I guess. And there we go. That's really neat. All right. So let's go ahead and add our city. If you don't have an angled palette knife, and this is the best tool for this, and I know you guys have seen this be done, whether it's on YouTube or if you're in like a major city or something like that, like New York, Rome, Vegas, a lot of people are doing this technique, and they'll like sell them to tourists or whatever. I know you've seen this get done though, and it's so easy to do. The angled palette knife is the best thing to use, alright, and that's what I am going to use. But if you don't have that, do not worry. Get yourself another piece of poster board and tear yourself off a piece that once again has a flat edge to it, right? So something like this, right? And then what I recommend that you do is you just kind of fold it just to give it a bit more strength, right? So I didn't mess with the flat edge there. We're just going to kind of fold that just to give it a little bit more strength, right? Because this is just paper, all right? And it's going to bend, and it's not going to be as strong as this, okay? So just remember that. Quick little tip. Now let's grab our clear coat. And I'm going to go with an alien city here, right? Because there's no rules with that, and I don't have to worry about anyone's bullshit. But if you want to follow an exact skyline, you can do that. Let's get you guys out of the booster seat. It is easy. It is easy. I mean, I'm going really fast because I've been doing this so long, but it is easy. All you do is you take your flat side of whatever tool that you have, you place it down, and you scrape paint. That's it. You just scrape paint. Now, like I said, I'm going with an alien type city, so I'm just going to kind of make a bunch of random stuff. But if you want to do like box buildings, and let me get some more clear coat. Remember, you got to make sure this paint is still wet. So let's say that you want like a box building. Hello? There we go. So we're just going to scrape this to the side. We have that flat side completely down. Just scrape it across, right? And I'm just going to drag my little tool down. It's more out of habit than anything else. And if you want to make it 3D, you can do that as well, right? We could just go back to that side, just kind of scrape, but we're going to go down as well as across. And you can make the buildings 3D. Okay? Easy. Easy. It's not that difficult. It's really not. Okay, full send it. Also remember, another thing, and maybe it doesn't bother them, but it bothers me, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it anyway. Each building can be separate. A lot of people, what they'll do, and it always looks a little funky to me, but if you like it, I mean, I guess go for it. It's your shit. But a lot of people will just make buildings that are straight across and everything is connected like that. That looks a little funky to me. Okay, so make sure, try to make your buildings individual. Let's have gaps in between them, right? This is, right, we can have a building right there. Doesn't necessarily need to be connected to the one right next to it. And notice all of these colors that we placed down before, all of that rainbow color, that's what's showing up on this city right now. So let's use more clear coat to re-wet this paint. And just go ahead and shape these out however you want. If you want like an alien sort of city that I like to usually go for, then do it. Rock with it. Maybe you will have, or maybe like a futuristic city is more the word for it. Maybe you will have like little circles up here towards the antenna. Of course I like to add squiggles as well, but we're not at that point yet. So just scrape, have some fun with it. And also remember we can add depth to this as well. So let's say we have a really solid layer right here, right? Really solid layer. So let's grab some black and let's add some depth. Let's add another layer of buildings. But see, here's the thing. Here's why we have to add this black. If I want to add another layer of buildings in front of this one, what's going to happen, and I'll try to get you guys closer, is if I try to put a building in front of this and you try to scrape the paint, there's nothing more to scrape and you can't see it. right? So this is why we're gonna add the black. So it has that background, I can actually see it. Pull your can back though. Okay, we just want this to be kind of like a misty, faded sort of thing. Nothing too crazy. Just spray the underneath of the city, let the overspray do most of the work, all right? So that looks, actually, maybe one more. There we go. That looks pretty good right there. So now we'll be able to actually see this next layer of buildings, all right? So don't be scared to do this. Don't be scared. Full send it. Let's add more clear coat to re-wet the paint. For those of you who are confused, this is all that I use. And we're just gonna go ahead and keep scraping some more buildings. So let's go ahead and add some more stuff. Maybe we want like a dome sort of thing right here. Scrape away whatever you want here, and I'm gonna add a nice little swiggle here in a second, because I just like doing alien type things. I don't know, it just looks better and it's more fun to me. So let's go ahead and add a little squiggle. Maybe we'll add little lines, like little supports. Maybe it's like a highway or something like that, that leads to whatever the fuck that is. Don't matter. Maybe we'll have little squiggles at the top of these, like we have these really large like antennas on the top of these buildings. Maybe we'll have some squiggles there. Maybe we'll have some like little circles. Right, and for that stuff, I'm just using the point of my angled palette knife here. Right, so just maybe a squiggle right there. I don't know, this is really solid so far. Alright, so what are we feeling? Because we already have 2 layers. Now, if you wanted to do another layer of buildings, which maybe we will, I don't know yet. We can do 2 things down here. We can do water. Really easy, quick way to do water. Or we can do the line thingy. It's like a vaporwave sort of like style thing. It's like a really old school style of spray paint art. So we have water, ice. Okay, okay. I'm seeing everyone with the water. Okay, let's go for it. So let's add some more black down here, which we already have a lot going on down here. But let's just add some black. Now you can use a straight edge if you want, but also I think I want to add just another layer of buildings right here, just a few, because I can't help myself. But also we're going to need a lot of clear coat here. Clear coat this whole area. Make sure that this paint is still wet. Let's add a few more buildings. Just some tiny ones, you know? Just like that. Okay, now what we can do here, there's 2 ways that we can go about this. You can use, you could use just the angled palette knife again. You can use a putty knife like this, which I think this might be a little too big for this painting. Or you can just use some poster board, flat edge. I think this actually gives the best results rather than the other stuff. So we want to make sure that this paint is really wet here. Now this is really awesome way to do things. We just want to make sure that we're weighing this down with something though, because it might move. Now what we're going to do, and I will get you guys down from the booster seat so you guys can get a better visual. What we're going to do is we're going to place this flat edge down right beneath our city, right? And we're not placing this completely flat. Like I said, I'll get you guys a different angle. We're going to place that edge down and we're just going to kind of swiggle, right? We're going to kind of swipe and we're going to back and forth, left and right, and just work our way down. You see that? We're making like this ripply type of water. So let's go ahead and try to get you guys down. And let me see if I can get you guys a different angle, maybe? Can I set you guys up right here, maybe? Okay, I think this is the best I can do. Okay, so let's grab more clear coat, re-wet all of that, and this is what is going on here. We have our little poster tool, and all I'm doing is just placing the actual edge down. See, it's not completely flat, not completely straight up, nothing like that, but it's at like this sort of angle. I don't know what degree angle that is, but we just swipe back and forth and we work our way down. That's it, and it's starting to shift a little bit, and that just means we need to use more clear coat. I think we can actually get through it without using more. There we go. Really cool though, really cool, really cool, really neat. So there we go. And we're going to go ahead, and this is something I like to do, I like to grab a straight edge, and we're going to add like a nice glow to that water line up there. Booster seat. Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, like a 45-degree angle is sort of what I had going on. We're not going to do anything crazy. We're not going to do anything crazy. Remember, this is a beginner class. So let's go ahead and add that little highlight up there. Grab yourself a straight edge. Once again, if you don't have something like this, just use some poster board. And we're gonna head back over to this water line, which we've already kind of established it right underneath our city. And I'm gonna spray most of the white onto the tool itself. We don't need to place this completely down. You can just kind of spray the tool, hover right above it. And we have a nice little crisp water line, right? Really neat. And here's the thing. If you go ahead and you place your tool down, this paint is all still wet. So if you place it completely down, it's going to leave a mark. That's why we like to hover. If you can hover, go for it. If you have really shaky hands, maybe try to add some supports on each side of your painting and kind of support it that way. I do sell my art. There's a link in my bio, actually. Alright. So what else do we got? What else do we got? We can add little rocks in here if we want, actually. This is really easy. So let's grab some black. Let's just add some little... We can do a boat. We can do a little rowboat, maybe. That's really easy. I'm trying to keep this beginner for people, but let's add some little rocks. All you need to do is get some black onto the finger. You can spray the black to the side and dip your finger in it. You can just spray directly onto your finger. It doesn't matter. Let's just go ahead and finger paint some little rocks in here. Alright? You just tap your finger in here, to be completely honest. Or you can just kind of smear some little rocks. But let's say we wanted a little rowboat. We can finger paint a little rowboat, and I'm going to show you how. I believe this is called a trapezoid. Forgive me, I'm stupid. Okay, so it might be something completely different. We're going to make a trapezoid sort of shape right here. And it's going to be, I guess, upside down, maybe. I guess it doesn't really matter. We're just going to finger paint a trapezoid in here. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Let's get some more black. I just finger painted that in, okay? It's by no means perfect, but that's completely fine. What I'm going to do is add just a little tiny bump to the top, right? Just kind of give it a nice little curve up there to that trapezoid. Right, so it's not really a trapezoid anymore, but we see we have, it's almost like a dome, right? Like one of them dome roofs. It's almost like that. Now what we're going to do is you're going to take something sharp, right? You're going to grab some clear coat to re-wet the paint here. And this is super beginner, right? All I'm going to do, and I will get you guys down from the booster seat with this. Sorry, I know my booster seat squeaks. I have to hit it with WD-40. But anyway, we're going to take just the pointed angle palette knife here. If you don't have this, that's fine. Just get anything sharp. And let's just outline our little rowboat here. So we outlined the top side. And now we're going to have the opening in the boat. So we're just going to kind of make like a football shape, you know, just like a little football shape. All right, I feel like I'm watching Blue's Clues again. I feel like that's how I'm explaining this. Well, let's go ahead and outline each side of this just like that. You can make it straight, you can make it curved, it doesn't really matter. And also this is like a little wooden rowboat, right? So let's go ahead and add the little lines to the wood, right? Just make some little stripes in there. Maybe we can add a little angle to it, right? Because the boat is not completely flat, completely straight. It's curved, right? So let's add some little lines in there. And also, we're not done yet. So what I'm going to do is take this smaller, whoops. Okay, it's got a lot of paint gucked up on there, but it should be fine. I'm going to take that little side to my planet stencil. Or, I'm sorry, what the fuck am I even saying? Jesus Christ. My palette knife, the small side to my palette knife here. And we're going to go ahead and scrape those little seats in the boat, right? I'm just going to take that, just swiping it down. Just like how we made our city up here. Okay, but I'm just going to swipe in these little boats. Or these little seats in the boat. And now we have a little rowboat. Neat, right? Cute. Now, you could add like a little person in there or something. Or we can just make it so it's like tied to like a little pole. I think I have paint in my hair. I'm a fucking hot mess. Alright. So let's go ahead and say there's going to be like a little pole or something that it's tied to. That's fine. Let's grab some more black. Let's spray it off to the side. I'm just going to take my finger, and I'm just going to kind of swipe a pole in here. Let's say it's right here. That's fine, right? We got a little pole. I do sell all of my art, alright? There's already a lot of stuff in my store, which is a link in my bio, and then everything that we make here will go on the website after the live. Let's also add some more rocks. I like the idea of a rock right here. And we can also outline these rocks as well. So let's grab the clear coat for a second, right? We don't want to forget about this. Ready? Clear coat. And we're just going to hit these rocks with it real quick, just to re-wet that paint. And we can take our knife again. Remember, just the point of the angle palette knife is what I'm using here. You can use anything sharp, though. And we're just going to outline the tops of these rocks. And we can add little highlights, just little random lines, really. That's all that I'm doing. and we can outline these rocks this way. Just outlining the top side. They don't need to be perfect. In fact, the less perfect that they are, the better they'll look. I do believe that to be true. And now we have some little highlights. We can also highlight our stick pole thingy over here, right? And I can just use swipe the blade down, right? And that'll give us that nice little crisp straight line. Maybe this will be a wood pole as well. We can add little lines. It's like a little wood post. And let's go ahead and add the little string, right? It needs to be attached to our pole. So let's add some more clear coat again, just to that area. Well, I think we can use a little bit more. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and scrape a line. I'm going to scrape a little rope. It could be straight if you wanted to, or it can be like, like a lot of slack on it, just like that. Don't think too much into it. Don't think too much into it. Just full send it, all right? Now, you might think it looks a little weird. Everything's just kind of sitting there in the water. It looks a little strange. I agree. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to grab some poster board again, some scrap poster, and you're going to tear yourself off a piece that has a flat edge. I'm just going to use this, right? This was our city tool. Now, I want you to get some white, and I want you to spray that white to the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this little tool that we have, we're going to get that flat edge and that white like this, and all we're going to do is swipe some white right under where the land meets the water. That's where we're going to swipe some white, right? Just kind of swipe in some little ripples, some little waves, right? Wherever land meets water, we go ahead and we do this. Same thing with the little post over here. When any object really meets the water, I guess, just little ripples, okay? That's all we're doing. We're just kind of putting that flat edge. It's a poor man's paintbrush. That's all that this is, I swear. Okay, it's not that difficult. Right under this boat as well, we're going to kind of swipe in some little white lines, and not the illegal kind. There we go. Maybe we'll add some around the boat, just a little bit. Maybe we'll add like a big one right there. Big wave, just like that. And I just like to make sure that if you're going to be making like waves, have them follow the same flow, right? And what I mean by this is if you're going to make a wave, let's say we need more white to the side. If you're going to make some ripples and waves, and you're going to go from this angle maybe, right? So we have like this down right sort of angle. Try not to make another wave that like goes at a completely different angle, because that looks weird, right? That looks really weird. Try to follow the same flow. So if we're going to go bottom right, and we're just kind of making squiggles, that's all we're doing. We're just coating up that side. Just try to follow the same flow. Try to keep them all like bottom right or something really similar, right? It'll look really good. Just keep that in mind. Keep it in mind. And I think this is really good. I think this is a really solid painting, and I think we're about done. So let's go ahead and seal her up. Let's use some clear coat, right? And like I said, this does re-wet the paint, so you got to be careful not to use too much. Just give it that nice final layer. And I'm going to put, I actually think I'm going to put my signature maybe like in the city there. Spray a little bit more clear there. And I do believe this is the easiest way to sign your name with spray paint art. I like to put the year, 2023, and squiggle. Very nice. Easy. I know you guys have seen this city stuff been done before by a lot of people. You'll see them in big cities get done. And they're not as difficult as you might have thought that it was. Okay, it's very beginner friendly. So we've learned a lot here. We've learned a ton. And I think the only thing left that we need to learn are waterfalls. And then we're going to put all of the techniques that we've learned together. And we're going to make a really dope painting to finish off this class. It's going to be a really amazing painting. We're going to do it on canvas. I just have that much faith in it. But let's go ahead and do a recap of everything that we've done. And my studio is a mess, so you're going to have to forgive me. We started off with some single planet paintings, right? We learned the swiping technique. Beautiful, right? Gorgeous planet here. It's like a water planet. Then we learned something a little different. This one is a little bit more creative. Works really well with two like high contrasting colors. Like we have purple and orange here, which aren't total contrast, but close enough, right? We have two single planets, two different techniques, but we made some single planets. Then we learned how to make a galaxy, right? This was a really easy galaxy technique. We learned a different planet technique. This is the classic, like absolute beginner, easiest classic technique for spray painting, right? We learned a couple of other things, and now we have our cities, we have our water, we made a really cool rainbow thing. Yeah, it's dope. We're doing really good so far. So now we're going to add waterfalls to the mix. So let's go ahead and do a bit of a nature painting. I have no idea what we're going to do here. There is like a contact form on my website if people are interested in that. How long did all of that take? I don't know. How long have we been in here? An hour and a half, I think, to do all of that. And that's with me explaining everything as well. It doesn't usually take that long. Alright. So let's grab another poster board and let's make some waterfalls. This is going to be a really quick painting, nothing crazy. Like I said, the only thing we want here is to learn how to make them. We'll also learn another way to make the water. And we're just using glossy poster board here. That's all that we're using. Alright. So this is all that I'm using here. This is, I get this brand from Hobby Lobby, but there's plenty of different places that you can get this from. Walmart has some. If it's not in their craft section, it's in their office section. I think it's like a pack of 12 of them for just a few bucks, alright? But I recommend you buy this in store. I will never buy this stuff online, because I like to just kind of open it and make sure that it has that glossy side to it. If it's just paper, the paper is going to soak up all the paint and these techniques aren't going to really work. So you need that glossy side. Alright. How about we'll do a ring as well, like a ring planet sort of thing. So let's say we have tiny planet up there. I need some tape to tape this down. And we'll do a different kind of galaxy as well. We'll do a smear swiping technique for the galaxy as well. Which I don't like this one as much as the other one that we did. But, you know, just to have a few things in your arsenal, maybe you guys will like it more. But I like the idea of a planet up there in the corner. Not going to think too much into it, just going to outline it. Right, this is to make sure we know exactly where to place this paint. That's why we go ahead and we outline these. Oh, we could, okay. So how about we do this like an eclipse? This is going to be an eclipse that for some reason has a ring around it. We're not going to think too much into it. But yeah, you can do this. Solid color planets are a very solid choice, okay? They absolutely are. People sleep on it for no fucking reason whatsoever. Let's go ahead and just fill this in with black. Okay, you could do a solid color. You could do like blue or something like that. I'm not going to shade this. I'm not going to highlight this. I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. And before we go ahead and place that, I do want to let that sit for a second. But let's think about what we want, what color we want our land to be right here. So let's think about that. Let's get a color for the land here. We can do multiple colors. It doesn't really matter. What color do we want our land to be? Green? Of course you said green. Alright. So let's roll with green. I see green and yellow. Those were the first two things that I saw. People are obsessed with purple as well. I think purple and green were the first ones though. So let's go ahead and add some green here. Oh, that's not green. Here's green. Alright. First layer is important, okay? This is why we're placing this color first. Same thing with the city, right? You had to think about what color you wanted the city first, to be first, and then you place that color. The first layer is always this important, okay? So it's going to be the same thing with the land. We're going to place this green here, because we said we wanted some green land. We also want this land to be yellow, so let's go ahead and add some yellow to the mix. I like that idea, right? And you don't have to go down all the way. I think we're going to do another water technique down here, so don't worry about that. And you know what? I think that's good. I think that's great. So let's go ahead and just add this stencil here. This isn't going to be too crazy, right? The whole purpose of this one is just to learn, just to learn the waterfalls. So let's get some more color. Let's get a galaxy thing going here. So let me look back at some of the colors. I saw a lot of pink. I saw a lot of purple, yellow, blue. Okay, so let's just roll with the yellow, purple, or whatever. Pink, purple, and blue. Let's roll with that. So let's go lighter to darker again. So yellow is definitely our lightest. Then I think it's going to be either blue or magenta. Just going to take a guess. And then purple will be our darkest. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with yellow, our lightest color, just a little boop in the middle. And now we're going to go ahead and go to our next lightest, our number 2. And just make a little circle around that. And this is going to be different than the one that we've already done, the galaxy we've already done. And I think I might have miscalculated on this. I think the blue was darker than the magenta, but we're going to put that magenta right around that blue. And let's go ahead and add that purple right around that magenta. Okay? It's not perfect by any means, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking matter. Alright, so let's go ahead and just fill all this in. Let's get some black and go around all of our colors. We're going to cover up all of this green, all of this yellow. Let's get around our stencil. Alright, and you know what I think I'm going to add? I think I'm just going to add, well, let's see first. Let's just see. So here's the galaxy technique. It's more of like a, well, I guess we can call it a galaxy technique. Let's not think too much into it. Let's grab some clear coat and let's just re-wet this whole area right here. I think we're going to have to add some white, but let's see first. All we're going to do is we're going to swipe these colors together. That's it. So let's get you guys out of the booster seat. It's unnecessary for you guys to be in there. I'm just going to go ahead and take my finger. I'm just going to swipe all of these colors together, and we're going to try not to hit that planet stencil right there. We don't want that to move. Just going to kind of swipe all of these together. Just like that. Let's try to actually go all the way down here. Right, and that purple is just going to kind of mix into that black, so it'll fade away on its own. And I think we definitely want some white in there. So let's go ahead and add some white. Ready? Just going to add a little bit of white right there. Let's get some more clear coat. Right, it's just going to re-wet the paint for us. Alright, that is way better. I like the idea of more white in there. Just swiping some colors together. That's it. And this is a neat little galaxy thing. I don't think it's as good as the last one, but I mean, it's different. It's different, right? So, let's go to put that back. Put you guys back in the booster seat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shape all of this out. We're going to kind of shape this out. And we also have to keep in mind, this is just completely black under there for that planet, right? That's an eclipse. So we need to add preferably a really light color or just white around that so we can actually see it when we lift it up, because that, I mean, that's no good. But first, let's shape out this little galaxy thing. You can add color. Actually, yeah, fuck it, let's add color. So we have this purple here, that was our darkest color. We're going to pull back our can. We don't want this to be too solid. No, sir. We don't want it to be too solid. So we're going to pull back our can, find our distance, so we get that nice faded sort of effect. I'm just going to kind of hit the outside of this galaxy over here with that color. Hit that corner. And that actually looks really good. I like that instead of black. That was a good move. Good call, Amethyst. Good call. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. Looks dope. Alright. So I saw someone saying something about, okay, orange and red around the stencil. That's a great move. Orange, red, and yellow always look great around an eclipse. So let's go ahead and try to do that. Let's put these away. Let's grab some red. Is this red? Yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray some red around this stencil. I'm going to pull back my can again. You're not even going to see it on the camera because it's pulled back that far away. And that's because I have a fat cap on this. And I'm just not gonna overtake that purple, right? We're gonna leave that purple over there, right? We don't need to get rid of that. Let's add some red around that stencil. Let's add some red actually throughout this entire thing right here. Just add that little mist of color. Remember, we weren't holding this can too close. You couldn't even see it on camera, right? And I actually think it's still a little too solid. Now, when you think you have too much color, what do? We just take our black and we eat away at that color a little bit and darken it up. Now let's take some orange, except this time we're going to get more closer to our little planet stencil right here. So let's grab our orange, and let's just go, we're going to pull back, just add little mist of orange. That is way too fat of a cap, by the way. And then let's finish it off with yellow, and this time we're going to go even closer than that orange did, right next to this eclipse. I'm just going to spray right around this stencil as best as I can. If you miss, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. But we need to add this color. I actually think I'll go all the way around for this. And that'll be good. Alright, I think this looks pretty good. Let's add our stars. We're also going to add a ring to that planet. Even though eclipses don't... Well, is it possible for an eclipse to have that? No, I don't think that's possible at all. It doesn't matter. That's what we're going to do. Alright, so let's go ahead and add our stars to this. Let's get some white. We're going to spray some white onto the finger, just like so, and then we're going to flick to the side 1, 2, maybe 3 times. Depends on how runny your paint is. But you just want to get them big nasty blobs off first, right? So you can actually see them already over there, those big nasty blobs. When we spray that white onto the finger and we flick first, nasty, disgusting. We don't want that onto our painting at all. So that's why we flick to the side first, and then we flick onto our painting. So here we go, we got some stars, and it's always a good move to add, I like to add some more stars when you have a galaxy thing going on. I don't know, I think it looks nice. Alright, now let's go ahead and lift up this bad boy. We can add more stuff to the space scene later, although we're going to have a bunch of land down here. Now look at that. Since we have all of this bright color, we have that really light yellow, that really bright yellow, you can actually see that eclipse. It looks dope. Now let's add a little star to it. I like the idea. Let's add like a little glare around the side. And then, or should we do the, let's do the ring first. Fuck it, let's do the ring. This is the most challenging thing that I've taught you guys all day. Okay, but we're going to take some clear coat. And we're going to figure out, okay, so I like the idea of, we're going to have our ring go this way. This is the way that we're going to have it. That's where I'm going to spray my clear coat. Now, I recommend that you use an angled palette knife, just like before. However, if you don't have it, just tear yourself off a piece of poster board that has a flat side. The size that you tear off depends on how fat you want your ring to be. So if you want a really thin ring, you're going to want a really thin piece, okay? Just keep in mind, you might have to, okay, so let's say that you're going to be using this, right? And let's say you want a thinner ring. You're going to tear that piece off so you have that thinner side. And what I recommend you do is you fold this at least once so it has some extra strength to it. Okay, just a little bit of extra strength because it's still paper. Okay, this is still like poster board, and it's going to fold, and it's just not as sturdy as the palette knife. Okay, so if you're going to be using the poster, use that. Or fold it in half like that. So let's grab our clear coat again, spray that side, and what I'm going to use is just the smallest side to my angled palette knife like that. And this is, best thing that I have for this is just full send it. That's the best advice that I got for you. And even then, I fuck up on this a lot. So, you know, like I said, most challenging thing I've taught you guys all day. We're going to go to one side of the planet, and we're just going to swish around. It's the best way I can describe it. We're going to go from one side of the planet, we're going to swish around. I'm going to end it somewhere in the middle. Because we're going to go back on the other side and just try to meet, we're gonna meet the rings in the middle. So here we go. Swoosh, right? Full send it. Don't think too much into it. Slow and steady is a bunch of bullshit. We're going to go to the other side now. And we're going to try our best to meet in the middle. And we actually did a really good job right there. We did a pretty good job. Best advice, like I said, slow and steady, bunch of bullshit with stuff like this. Full send it. Because if you try to go really slow and steady, it's going to be shaky. Right? It's human nature. Unless you're like a fucking surgeon and you have really steady hands, it ain't gonna happen. Alright? Or unless you're like a fucking world champion at Operation or something like that, the board game. Okay, so just full send it, okay? It looks easy, but that is the most challenging thing that I've taught you guys all day. I'm not even kidding. Alright? So let's go ahead. What else are we doing here? Oh, let's add a little star up here, like a little glare to our eclipse, right? So let's grab something flat. You can use some poster board. Just kind of keep it as straight as you can that has that flat edge. Or what I'm going to do is just take a putty knife and I'm going to hover. We're going to make a little star here. I'm just going to make a simple cross. I'm not going to do too much here. But I'm going to hover right above the painting. We're going to hover. Maybe like a centimeter, maybe like 2 centimeters. Who knows? I don't have a ruler. And we're going to spray the white onto the tool itself. And it's going to give us a nice line downwards. Just like that. See? Easy. And then we're going to cross it over right at the edge of that eclipse right there. And we have our little star. I actually think we can go ahead and extend that up there a little bit. But there we go. See, that's cool. That's a nice little touch. It's a nice little touch. And you know what? Let's add some birds. So there's 2 ways to add birds. There's a complicated way and an easy way. Let's do both here. So here's the fountain pen method. This is where you grab some poster board and you just fold it in half completely, like this. I'm just going to use this scrap that we already have. So we have that crease, and we're going to spray some black on the inside of that, like so. And I think we can use a little bit more. But the whole idea here is when you tilt it, it will start pouring out, and it's like a makeshift homemade fountain pen. And you can kind of already see how we can make birds this way. So this is simple. Birds are easy. They're just wonky looking V's. So what we can do, if we want really bold birds, I recommend the fountain pen method. We start from the center of the bird, arch out a wing. Okay, it can be wavy, it can be straight, it can be whatever, but just make a wing. And then we're going to go back to the center and we're just going to make a wing the other way, right? Just like so. That's it. That's it. That's all there is to it. And then I recommend you go back to the center and just kind of pull some paint down for a body. Right? Just kind of make a little body. This is my favorite way to do it. However, it's not the easiest. The easiest, I will show you. I will show you the easiest. I'm going to add more black to this, and I'm just going to make another bird right here. Just like that. Easy. Easy. And there's already a lot of paint there, so we don't need to add any more when making the body. That's actually a really big body, but it's fine. Now, if you want this the easy way, here's the easy way. We're going to take some clear coat. Let's say we want some like really distant birds up there. We're going to take some clear coat and just hit that whole area right there, some clear, and get something sharp. Get something sharp. You can get like a corner of a poster board if you don't have the palette knife yet. But same thing, just wonky looking V's. We start from the center of the bird, arch a wing out, go back to the center, arch a wing out the other way. You can make them wavy, you can make them straight up like that. You can do whatever. You can do whatever. And then we're still going to go ahead and give them little bodies. Just kind of pull down at the body a little, or pull down at the center of the bird a little bit. My bad. And there you go. Two completely different ways to do birds. This way is way easier, because this one you're going to have some control. But it's always nice to know how to do birds. I love birds. They're always just a little something to add to paintings. Alright, so let's go ahead and do our land. There's two ways to do this. The first way is just finger painting. And I'm not going to show you how to do, yeah, we're still doing the waterfall. We got sidetracked a little bit, but we're still going to do the waterfall. So if you want to do your land by finger painting, power to you. Power to you, that's the easiest way to do it. And then what we can do is you can just add highlights to the rocks. So actually, let's go ahead and how do I want to show both, right? I definitely want to show both, but I guess let's do it. Let's go ahead and finger paint. So spray some black to the side, or just spray it onto your fingers, and go ahead and just paint out your land here. Now I want you to keep in mind, you do want this to look random because it's nature, but also we want to think about these waterfalls here. So let's add little dips into these rocks. So we have a dip right here, that could be where a waterfall is, right there, right? And you can make these as jagged as you want. Remember, nature is not perfect, so if it does look perfect, it's going to look off, okay? And keep that in mind. If you have a perfectly straight line, it looks weird. It doesn't look like nature, you know? So add some sharp edges to it, some bumps, you know, some little things. And we'll add another little dip right there for another waterfall. So let's say right there, we'll have another little waterfall. And you can go ahead and finger paint this whole thing in. However, if your handling is there, if you're confident, just fill it in with black. And we're going to leave a little part down here alone. We're going to leave it, well, as blank as we can possibly leave it. And here's what we can do. Let's grab more clear coat. And what we can do is we can add little highlights into these rocks. We're going to clear coat this whole area. This is just re-wetting the paint. And you can take something sharp again, right? Anything sharp, right? We're just going to use the palette knife again. And we're going to think about where the light source is first. So let's just say that this little star here is our light source, okay? So all the rocks that are directly underneath this light source, what we're going to highlight is the top of the rocks. So right there, because that's where the light would be hitting. So just trace it, right? So the light source is here. And let's say we're trying to figure out where to highlight these rocks, right? Where is the light hitting the rocks over here? Just trace it. Right here. So it's hitting the top left part of these rocks over here. So what I'm doing is all I'm going to do is take that sharp thing that I have, and I'm just going to outline these rocks, just scraping paint away. Now look at all that green that's coming through. Remember that green? Remember that yellow that we placed at the beginning? That's all that's coming through right here. And we're just going to add little highlights. And these don't need to be perfect. No, sir. In fact, try not to make them perfect. We're going to add a bunch of lines. You can add a bunch of rocks. This is really simple, okay? You can even make little like tree branches and stuff. So maybe we want, I'm just going to use the point of the palette knife. We can make, say, just like a little tree branch right there. It's just a line connected to a bunch of other lines. And maybe we want like a stack of pebbles, right? We just make a little bump and then some little bumps under it. Little stack of pebbles, right? You could be as creative as you want with this. But also, I want you to keep in mind, remember these dips right here? That's where we're going to be putting the waterfall. So try not to go too much into that. We just want to leave those black. Let's go ahead and outline those. And remember, just trace. Just trace. What side of the rock is getting hit with the light here? Right? It's going to be the top. It's basically going to be the top, maybe a little bit to the right. Let's hit it with some clear. And let's just outline these. We're going to outline the tops. And you don't need to do too much. Always leave a lot of black space. If you think that you did too much, smear it away, right? Just kind of cover it up, add some black to it, whatever the case is. And we have our waterfall right here, so we're not gonna go too much into that. And you know, I like the idea, once we do the waterfall, we'll add a branch out into the middle of the waterfall. Now, once again, let's trace it. This light source, what side of the rock is it hitting? It's hitting the top right side of this rock over here. That's where we're gonna highlight. So let's grab our clear coat. Let's re-wet that. And like, if any questions that you guys have, because I have a hard time multitasking, because I'm a little stupid. But after the class, I will answer any questions that you have. So if you guys want to write them down or whatever, go ahead and do so. How about like a tree branch right here, right, sticking out? Grab some more clear. Make sure that paint is wet right there. Let's add a little tree branch. Maybe we'll just have like that, like just a little two-brancher sort of thing. All right, so that is a way to do it, and I think that's actually probably one of the easier ways to make land. Not my preferred way, but it's the best way. All right, so when you're doing the waterfalls, the best thing to do is to let this, you want a nice black background because you really want these waterfalls to pop. That's just what I prefer. And you also want to make sure that it's kind of dry. All right, so it's still a little sticky, but it's dry enough, so we're gonna roll with it. So let's grab a piece of poster board that has a flat edge to it. And we're just going to tear ourselves off a piece, right? It's basically the story of spray paint art. We just tear off little pieces of poster board that have flat edges to them, right? And we're going to spray some white to the side. Let's get this. Spray some white to the side, just like so. And we're going to take that little flat piece, poor man's paintbrush. We're just going to, and I'll do this twice, right? I'll show you guys from this angle, and then I'll get you guys out of the booster seat. And I'll show you guys a different angle. But we're just going to coat up that flat side with that white. We're going to head to the top of this dip here. Remember, we made these dips. We already figured out where we want these waterfalls. We're going to go to the top, drag your tool down. That's it. That's it. And once again, full send it. Full send it. Slow and steady is a bunch of bullshit. If you want to go straight down, you can. If you want to add maybe like a curve at the top, I like those. I like that idea. Let's roll with it. It is tough, isn't it? So let's get you guys out of the booster seat so I can show you guys exactly what's going on here. We have our little tool, poor man's paintbrush. Let's just coat it up with some white, just like that. And let's go to the dip here. You see, 45-degree angle again. And we're just gonna drag it down. Just drag it down. That's it. And you get yourself some waterfalls. Does it work with color? Yeah, you can make them blue if you want to. We can even add touches of blue to that if you wanted to. So you could add like white, and then let's say we wanted to add like a light blue. Let's say we just wanted like a light blue. So let's turn this over. Let's get our light blue here. Spray it to the side. And we can also just add that. I usually don't do that. Maybe just because I'm lazy, I don't know. But we can do the same thing, just add that light blue to it. And we can add, oh, maybe it mixes too much with the white. Maybe it's too similar. I'll show you guys a close-up, but it is in there now. But yeah, you can add color to it. So now we can see we have little touches of that really light blue. And that's actually kind of a good call because it's not too different than that white. But yes, you can add color to it. Now, let's go ahead and do another water thingy. And then we're going to add the splish splash. We're going to do both. All right? And then we're done with this. And then we're going to make our super dope, amazing sci-fi painting. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab a straight edge. Once again, if you don't have something huge like this, which you can get in like the paint section of like Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's or like any store that has like an actual paint section, you can find these, or you can just order them on Amazon. If you don't have that though, grab yourself some poster board, flat edge, okay? We can use that here. Now let's go ahead and let's grab some colors. If you want them to match your sky, that would make sense. It would make sense. However, I'm not going to do that. I would just like to pick random colors. Yeah, they're not that expensive. And if you take good care of it, like if you wipe it off and you scrape the paint off every once in a while, it'll last you. Alright, so let's go ahead and, well actually let's just follow what colors we have here. We have like this yellow, orange, and then we have a bunch of like purple over here, which is actually really cool. I didn't mean for that to happen. But we're going to cut off the bottom of the rocks and the waterfall down here. And I'm just placing this tool completely down. Placing my straight edge completely down because we want to block off. We want to make sure none of the paint gets up here. Okay, we want to protect all of that up there. So let's go ahead and grab all the colors that we have up here. And I also want to think about this light source. That light source is going to be our lighter color. Trace it completely down. Right here is going to get our lighter color, which can just be white. We could just make it white. I'm just going to spray a line of white down like that. See? Right under our light source. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all the colors that were up here at the sky, and we're just going to go lighter to darker. Right? We're just going to get darker as we leave that white spot, as we leave our light source spot. So let's grab, I think it would be yellow. Yellow would be next. So let's go ahead and place our straight edge again. Right? And the poster board's not going to be perfect, but it's fine. We'll just spray some yellow right next to it. Just like that. And now let's go ahead and grab some orange would be next. Let's add a little line of orange. Right, we're just getting slightly darker, right? So let's add some red now. And I think we actually went way too far with the yellow and stuff like that, but it's fine. We'll just go ahead and add purple. And these colors are actually really nice together. Really nice. Alright, so this looks really solid. Now we're going to grab some clear coat, as per usual. It's all that I use if you guys need to screenshot it. If you guys get confused about it. Home Depot, Walmart, Amazon, I literally order this from or I buy it wherever's convenient. Alright? They're usually all the same price. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I heard some people from California were saying that the stuff is like close to $8, which is kind of insane. But we're going to go ahead and clear coat this whole area. And I'm just going to take my fingers, and I'm going to start from the top, and we're just going to swipe and smear all of these colors together. And I'm just going to kind of work my way down, work my way up, and now we have just a nice little lake. Now if you want to add some white to your fingers, you can do that. So this is another way. I always try the bare basic first, right, of just swiping with the clear coat. And if I'm not a fan of it, I'll go ahead and do this. I'll spray some white onto the fingers like this, and then I'll go ahead and swipe it all in. Right, just a little something. Sometimes the colors don't work out exactly like you want it to. It's just the way that this art works. Sometimes it just ain't it, alright? Now let's go ahead and grab a straight edge. It could be the same thing, it could be the poster board again. Now let's add our splish splash. What we're going to do is block off the water here. We're just going to block off the water with our straight edge. I'm not placing it down, I'm just hovering. Hovering just a little bit. Now let me move this to show you guys exactly what I'm going to do here. What I'm going to do is take my white and I'm going to start spraying onto the tool and then just kind of flick my wrist up. Just a little bit to give it that splish and that splash. Right, just kind of flicking it up just a little bit. That's what we're going to do here. So we're going to block off this water as best we can. It's not going to be perfect, it's fine. And then we're just kind of flicking that white up for the splish and the splash. Same thing right there, some splish and some splash. And we can even, what we can do is we can just, I'm holding this straight up now, and I'm hovering once again, and we can just add a little line right there at the top for some little mist up there. We can even add, you can go crazy with this. It's so easy to get carried away, but that looks really solid. And then one thing I'm going to finish it off with, same thing with the city painting. I'm going to take my straight edge and just give it that water line a nice crisp white glowing line, right? And I'm just spraying the tool. I'm spraying my straight edge for this. I'm not spraying the painting. Alright, solid. Solid. It's really solid painting. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab our clear coat and finish it off, and then let's do our amazing sapphire painting. We're going to do an eye, right? And you may think an eye is really complicated, and it's not. So let's go ahead and grab our clear coat and just give it that one final layer. This clear is really helpful. Okay, so when you're starting this art, there's only 3 cans that you need: black, white, and clear coat. Like, that's all you need to get started with this. But this is the most important thing, right? This helps us re-wet the paint, but also when you're going ahead and sealing up this painting, it's gonna glossify everything, which is really nice. But also it's gonna clear up a lot of overspray that is just natural with spray painting. So if you think that you have a lot of overspray during your painting, try not to think too much into it, because the clear coat will help you out. Let's give it a swiggle underneath our signature. And here we go. We have learned how to do waterfalls. Very nice. Is there a difference in the X's on the clear coat? What do you mean the X's on the clear coat? What do you want about? Oh, no, that's just their paint. So here's another Rust-Oleum, just black. I think that's just the type of paint. It's just them promoting the fact that it has ultra cover. which is a complete lie, to be completely honest with you. It has just as much coverage as like 80% of the other brands. Yeah, don't worry about the X. Don't worry about that. Alright, but here we go. Let's do a recap. Let's do a recap before we move on. Alright, out of the booster seat. We're going to do one final painting. We're going to do this on canvas. And we're going to make an eyeball. And we're actually going to use this using the planet technique. So we started off with our single planets. We learned a couple of different techniques here. The bare basics, right? The bare basics of spray painting. That's what we started off with. And then we went ahead and we added a galaxy. Right? So we learned a couple of different more, a couple more techniques for the planets. But then we learned how to do the asteroids. We learned how to do the comets, the galaxy. Really nice. And then we went ahead, made another planet. But also we learned how to do a city. We also learned how to do some water. And now we've learned how to do waterfalls, and also a couple of like different galaxy things. Alright, so we've done a lot. Now we're going to go ahead and put a lot of those techniques that we've learned together. Alright, throw this away, we're not using poster board. Now if you're using canvas, I gotta open this up. If you're using canvas, if you just got money to spend or you're really confident, with your paintings, I do think it looks nicer than poster board. Just make sure that it's primed, right? So this is the one that I get, which I will show you in a minute. As soon as I get this plastic off. Here we go. Alright. Yes, glossy side poster board. If you're going to get canvas, though, this is the one that I get from Hobby Lobby. Triple primed with acid-free acrylic gesso, blah, 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 blah. This is the closest, this is the best canvas that I have found for a decent price. I think this is like $7. That gives almost the same exact feel and texture and results as the poster board does, okay? So if you're going to prime your canvas yourself, consider doing multiple coats, all right? Consider doing multiple coats with your primer, because it's definitely worth it. I've tried some of like the single pre-primed canvases and they do work, they just don't work as well. Okay, so I always go with the triple thick, whatever, primed stuff. Just tear that off. And we can actually use this for a lot of tools as well, because it's like that thick, like poster board kind of feel. Alright, but we're going to do an eye. We're going to do an eye, and you know what? I'm not going to turn you sideways, we're just going to go whatever this is, portrait mode, portrait style. And we're going to go ahead and, let's do an eye. So we're going to do this actually the same way that we make planets. And this is what I was talking about. You're not stuck. I see a lot of people, they learn these techniques and they just do planets all the time. And if that's what's fun for you, fucking power to you. Keep doing it. But there's so much more that you can do with these techniques. So let's go ahead and make an eye together. Let's get a planet stencil. So I think that one is probably way too big. So let's see if we got something smaller. This one looks a-okay. Just like that. I think that's gonna be my eyeball. Yeah. Well, it's all really easy and it's fun. And don't get me wrong, if you're having fun making planets, keep doing it. But I think a lot of people just don't understand there's so much more you can do with the techniques. My comparison that I always say is everyone knows how to take a photo, but not everyone's a photographer. Okay, the techniques itself is easy, right? We know how to snap a picture, but I don't know the first thing about being a photographer. Okay, so it's all about just what you do with these techniques. Alright, so let's go ahead and, you guys probably already put some colors in there, huh? Okay, so, I see red. Okay, maybe I didn't ask for them. So I see red. Okay, so let's do like a red eye. Let's go red, orange, and yellow. Let's get some colors that flow together really nicely here. So let's outline this first. Let's outline this eye with some black. Whoops, we got some splatter, some drip going on. Not the good kind of drip. Whatever. Alright, now let's go from lighter to darker, actually. I like the idea of this. So let's grab some... Let's go with our darker first. Let's go with our red, and we're just going to hit the outside of this circle here with this red. Right, because that's going to be our darker color. And it's not going to be perfect, we just kind of want to get around it. And we're going to put our lighter colors inside. So let's go with the orange. Let's get the orange. Now let's get the yellow right on the inside of our thing. Now, I actually think we lost some of that red. There we go. What I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna cover this up with white. I think I like the idea of a neutral color being white here for this. So let's grab our white and let's just cover up all of this that we just did here. Now I want you to grab magazines, some newspaper, whatever is convenient for you to find. And actually, we're just gonna crumple it up. Get those random wrinkles. You can use a plastic bag, right? Let's crumple, uncrumple. Make sure that this paint is wet. If it's not, use some clear coat to re-wet it. Okay, I think it's fine though. And we're gonna go ahead, just place this down, give it a swipe. You don't need to use too much pressure, and then lift, right? Swipe, lift. Easy, okay? So let's do this again. Place, swipe, lift. Place, swipe, lift. And there we go. Now we're not gonna do any shading or highlighting for this, because it's gonna be an eyeball. We can also add, maybe we'll add some smaller planets everywhere else. How about that? So here goes. These are just the caps to my spray paint cans. Okay, so when you guys are thinking about what stencils to get, you can check out your kitchen for plates or bowls and stuff. But also just remember the spray paint cans are usually round, and they usually come with round little caps. You can also just use the cans themselves. So we can just use this can right there. I don't think we're going to be using that. Yeah, so let's go ahead and outline those, and then we'll go ahead and add a few planets after we're done our eye. Just some little things, you know, just some little ones. All right. So let's go ahead and cover her up. Right, we're not going to do any shading, no highlighting, none of that. Let's go ahead and just cover this up. We want to make sure that we get all of that color. Make sure we get all of that paint. Now let's go ahead and make the eyes, the whites of the eyes. Right, we're just going to spray along the outside of our stencil here with some white. We're not going to fill up the whole canvas. We don't need to. We're just going to kind of stretch it out a little bit, shape of an eye. Just make sure that's all covered up. All right, and now we're going to lift. Now, if you can freehand this, practice to the side first. If you can freehand this, power to you, okay? And it's actually not as complicated as you think it is. What I want you to do is at your elbow, just rotate your elbow. Think windshield wipers, okay? Just think of windshield wiper. We're not going to move anything past the elbow. We're just going to kind of rotate our arm back and forth here. And, you know, we get that nice little arch for an eye. And you could do the same thing if you just want to flip your canvas around. But, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. So you can freehand the eye that way. Just think windshield wiper for your arm, okay? But if you don't want to do that, too complicated, right? Too scary. Grab some poster board. Just grab some poster board, and what you can do is we can actually just place this completely down, and we can just curve this and make our eye shape this way. Okay? Whatever's easier for you. Whatever's easier for you. I think I'm just going to go ahead and try to freehand it, right? So we'll just do the top first, just like that, and then if we want, we can just flip it around. Right? Remember, windshield wiper. Just rotating my arm. That's it. That's all I'm doing. And we're just going to go back and go the other way. There we go. Right? It's not too complicated. Not too crazy. I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. Let's just go ahead and fill this in with some black. We are going to add a lot of color. I think we'll also add a big galaxy and stuff down here. So actually, let's think about what kind of galaxy, what colors we want for this galaxy down here. Give me some colors. Give me some colors to work with. And we're also going to make like a lizard eye sort of thing for the pupil. All right. Okay, let's see what we got. People are obsessed with the purple. All right. So mint, I don't know if I have a mint green, but we can use some green. We can use purple. Okay, so let's go through this. We have our green. We have our purple again. Oh my god, you guys are going to make me run to the store and get more purple. We have red. And let's go one more. Okay, blue and yellow. I see that guy with blue and yellow. Alright. Alright. I got you. So here we go. Let's go lighter to darker again. So all the colors that you guys picked, yellow is definitely my lightest color. So I'm going to go ahead and place that. Right? I'm just going to kind of line them up over here. Right? Yellow is definitely my lightest one. And then I'm thinking this blue is going to be next. So we'll put that next. And then everything else is just kind of ballparking. We're going to kind of guess, right? I think the purple is darker than the red. But I also think you can go either way. Right? So we have lighter to darker over here. We can add some, maybe we'll add some teal. We'll see. We'll add some teal up here. How about that? Because I've seen that a lot. So let's start with, let's say we're going to have our lighter color right here. That's great. We're going to take our lighter color, that yellow, and just add like a little boop of yellow down there. Now also, what you want to keep in mind, we want to try to keep the overspray away from our eyeball here. So go close, right? Go close a little bit over here. So let's go to our next lightest and just kind of make a circle around our yellow. Now let's go to our next darkest, which is, oh, it's the green. And actually that's as far as we can go right there, but that's fine. Let's go to our next darkest, and we're just going to kind of keep going around each other. We're going to try to keep all the overspray away, and we do that by just being really close to our canvas here. Oh, and you know what? I wasn't even thinking we're going to do a city as well, which means our city is just going to be these colors. So actually, let's rotate. See, we have our purple here. Let's go back to the yellow now. Let's go back to the blue. I completely forgot about the city. But the color of our city, I guess we'll just kind of go in with our galaxy. No big deal. Oh, and also we have to think about our planets here. Okay, so I see pink. Okay, so let's do pink for... How about we do a baby pink, and we'll do magenta right there. We'll have a little pink planet. Just going to spray those colors down. And I'm just going to use my finger and just kind of mix them together real quick. This is a really small planet, so we don't need to do too much. You're actually not going to be able to see most of the texture. Oh yeah, definitely trust the process. This looks like a mess right now, but it will, it'll look good. You guys are like laughing at it now, but it'll look good in the end. I swear. Okay, we could do another pink planet maybe. So let's do, how about we just make this one total like magenta. Right, just a solid color planet. Now let's go ahead and do the shading and the highlighting. Now remember, if you're doing the shading and the highlighting with the smaller planets, you're going to need to be more precise. So get yourself some poster board, tear yourself off a piece that has that flat edge like that. Take your white, take your black. Let's start with the highlight first. And let's just say our light source is going to be here. It'll be that yellow. Now, the side of the planet that's going to get the highlight is the side of the planet that's closer to that light source, which is going to be right here. So what I'm going to do is just going to curve this, so it's like a smiley faces, and we're going to spray the white onto this tool, and it's going to give us that nice, precise highlight. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing over here. Let the overspray do most of the work, and then we're going to do the shading on the other side, same exact way, right? Smiley face. Just kind of curve it, and this is how we can get that precise shading and highlighting down. Just like that, and just like that. Nothing too crazy. Alright, now let's go, if you want the best results for your planets, you should let them dry. However, we don't do that around here. So, what I'm going to do, just cap to my spray paint can. We're going to cover that up. I actually think we can use a little bit more shading. I think I miscalculated the size. So let's just move that shading in a little bit, just like that. Now we're going to cover her up. And also just a spray paint can, I think is what we decided right here. So I'm going to go ahead and place that down. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to try to adjust this one final time because I don't want these to move. We're going to cover this all up with black. Alright, and we're also going to do the pupil to the eye as well, which is going to be like a lizard eye. So let's grab our black and let's fill everything in. Let's get around these stencils. One of the first things that we do, go around those stencils, cover up all this color. Cover this all up with some black. I'll worry about the sides of the canvas later. And also, let me put all these colors back so they're not in my way. Okay. Also what we can do is we can shade, remember, the eyeball, it's round, right? So we're going to have some shading around the corners. We can do that. Pull back your black can a little bit, and we're just going to hit the corners a little bit with some little bursts of black, just to add a little bit of shading. Whoop. Okay, there's a lot of wind coming through my window. Alright, there we go. Just to add a little bit of shading over there, right? We can also add, I like to add a lot of black around what is that called? The pupil, I guess. So let's go ahead and grab a poster board that has a flat edge again. Just going to use the same thing we've been using all day. And I'm going to curve this so it aligns with the curvature of our eye thing, right? And I'm just going to spray the tool here. I'm going to spray black on the tool, and it's going to go ahead and give us a nice like black kind of shadow around that. I really like it. We can also do the lizard eye, and this is really simple, right? We're going to curve it ever so slightly, right? So we're not going to have it completely straight. We're going to kind of bend it just a little bit. Head towards the middle here, as close to the middle as you possibly can. Don't think too much into it though. And we're going to spray some black down. Cool, right? Alright, so now I'm just going to move myself around my table, and I'm going to hit the other side. Alright, so let's go ahead and close this off. There we go, we have our eye. And I also want to add some black around the edge. Just like that. So there we go, we have our eye. And we can also add the little like glare to the eyeball, but we'll do that later. Alright, so let's go ahead and do our galaxy here. Let's add some clear coat. Actually, I'm thinking that this can, right here, is at risk of falling over. So let's go ahead and add a bunch of color. I saw a lot of people saying teal, so let's grab some teal right here. And we're going to add some color to this whole painting, because this is all black and it's boring. Alright, so here's how we're going to add the color. Pull our can back. Pull our can back, we're going to add... Everyone's distance is going to be different, right? It all depends on your environment. It depends on the brand of spray paint that you're using. It also depends on what kind of cap you have. I think I'm using a fat cap on this, all right? But you want just little, like, shadows of color. You don't want to overtake the black. At least I don't think that looks very good. But let's go ahead and add some of that teal. I'm going to add some around those planets there. All right. And we're also, ooh, I like the idea of adding eyelashes to this as well. I can't help myself. I always get carried away. But let's go ahead and lift up at least this planet over here, because that's at risk of falling over. I don't want that to fall over. Alright, now let's grab some clear coat and do our galaxy over here. Also, that planet looks stellar. Look at that planet over there. Solid color planet, but it looks stellar. So let's grab some clear coat. All that I'm using. And we're going to re-wet this whole area down here. We haven't forgotten about all this color over here. We're going to hit a bunch of clear coat. And I want you to grab like a plastic bag, some newspaper, some magazine pages, whatever is convenient for you to find. And I want you can fold this up a certain way if you want the pattern, if you want like a pattern sort of thing. But I'm just going to crumple it up to get a bunch of random wrinkles in it. And this is easy. We're just going to place it, same thing that we did with the eye right there. Swipe it, and then lift. Alright, so let's add more clear coat. And we just want to make sure we don't hit that planet stencil over there. We don't want that to move. So let's go ahead and add more of a galaxy over here. And we're going to add more color on top of it as well. And we're also going to do a city. And I think we might do the floating island thing. I love my floating islands. We're just going to go ahead and tap some of that texture in there. I usually don't like doing this, but I want to get around this planet. Right, without actually moving it. And let's go around this eye. And maybe we'll add a bit of that texture up there as well. We'll see though. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back with our color. Let's grab our yellow. Remember, our yellow was our lightest color here. And what I'm actually going to do to protect my eye from the overspray is I'm just going to grab some poster board and kind of curve it right there. So we're basically protecting the eyeball from the overspray. Now what I'm going to do is just pull back my can a little bit, and we're going to add some color to this galaxy. Right? I'm just adding to it. We're not covering the texture completely, we're just going to add some color to that. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing. I think it was blue. Blue was the move. So let's go ahead and cover this up as best as we can. I'm going to pull back our can so we just get that little mist of color. I think over here as well. I'm also going to outline that eye as well. I like the idea of outlining that eye. Now I think I did way too much blue there, but let's keep going with the color and then we'll figure it out after. So we went green, and then red, and then purple. Where's the green? Here's the green. I'm going to block off this eye up here just so we don't get any overspray up there. And let's go ahead and add some green. Let's add, what was it? Red and purple? Let's add some red and purple to the mix. I'm also going to stop going over here just because that planet stencil is up. And purple. Alright, now I think I did way too much here. And that's fine. Sometimes this happens. So what we can do is we're going to get more clear coat, and we're actually just going to add more texture back. Clear coat. All good. Let's go ahead and re-add some of this texture. And this is actually not a terrible move to do, just to do it, right? It adds a lot of depth. Depth is always a good thing. It just takes a lot of extra time, obviously. And let's add we're gonna add a star as well. And I actually think that looks pretty solid. So there we go. Star. And then we're gonna go ahead and outline this eye. I also like the idea of giving our eyeball eyelashes, or our eyelashes, I should say. So I'm gonna try to move this a little bit. So here we go. Straight edge. If you don't have a putty knife, just go ahead and grab yourself a poster board again, and just hold it as straight as you can. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna spray white onto this tool here. It's gonna give us that nice line. Easy, right? Then we're gonna cross it over, just like that. And then if you're feeling confident, you're feeling comfortable, go ahead and add a boop of white right in the middle. And we have our star. Now let's go ahead and add some smaller stars. This is easy. Let's go off to the side first. Spray some white onto the finger. Flick to the side a few times. Get those big nasty blobs off. And then flick onto your canvas. And we're going to try our best to not get into that planet right there. Actually, I think we can just cover that back up. Cover that planet back up so we can do our stars freely without worrying too much. Flick, flick, flick. Get a bunch of stuff in there. We're going to do comets. We could do bigger stars in other spots as well. So maybe we want a bunch of like bigger stars up here, and we can do that. Just flicking these stars on, I'm just trying to avoid our eye up here. Alright, so we got a lot of stars. We did good. Alright. So our galaxy looks pretty dope. And we're going to add a bunch of islands and stuff like that everywhere else. But let's go ahead and finish off. Oh, let's take these off. We're done with these. Take those planet stencils off. Planets look great. I felt a sneeze coming on. My bad. Alright. So let's worry about what we have going on up here. Maybe should we do like a stream of comets? Like arching over the eye, and we'll follow that flow up there? I like that idea. So let's grab some more poster. Oh, we can also do clouds. I completely forgot about clouds for today's class, but I don't think they'll look good here, actually. So we're going to take some poster board that has a flat edge, and we're just going to kind of fold it, and we're going to bend it, just putting a little pressure there, right? So we have that opening, just like focus. You can do it. I think this is the best we're going to get. But when you flip it over, it's going to look like a funnel, and that's exactly how we're going to treat it, actually. So this is what it's going to look like, right? You're going to have that little opening down there at the bottom. Now, if you want your comets to be open towards the end, you're going to focus your pressure more towards the bend, right? If you want them to be closed, like I want my comets to be closed, we're going to focus the pressure more towards the back and close it. Now, all we're going to do is take our whites, and we're going to hover. Remember, we're not going to place this completely on the canvas. We don't want to leave any marks. And we're just going to spray some white into our little thing, into our little poster tool thing. I'm just going to have a bunch of comets kind of arching with the curve of the eye. I like that idea. I don't know, I think it's a really cool idea. So let's add a bunch of them. We can also add a bunch of comets to this as well. I guess the floating islands will be enough, so we don't really have to add comets. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. Now maybe we want some that are more open towards the end. I don't really like comets that way. I don't know. Personal preference, I guess. Alright. But what if we... Okay, so let's outline this first. I keep saying we're going to outline it, and then I completely forget about it. Let's grab some clear coat. And all I'm going to do right here is I'm basically just going to kind of curve... I'm going to outline the corners of the eye. So I'm going to hit that with some clear coat. What I'm going to do is just take something sharp. All I'm going to do is take my palette knife right here, And I'm just going to go ahead and hit these corners. I'm just going to outline them. Just like that. And let's go ahead and do the other way. Just like that. Oh, that was a little off. Meh, it is what it is. We're also going to add, well, you'll see what we're going to add. We're going to do the crying eye thing. Alright, so let's go ahead. I don't know if we want to do the eyelashes. Maybe we'll hold off on the eyelashes for now. Let's go ahead and make our floating islands. So let's get some black. And spray it down. Straight down to the side. Now let's take our finger. Double take 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Right? Focus. Okay? This is really difficult. Finger paint. Now we're going to finger paint. So I think I want an island actually right in front of this little star that we have here. And I don't want anything too crazy. I just basically painted a line across, and then I'm going to go ahead and just drag that paint down, right? Because I want this to look like it was ripped from a planet, right? This land was just ripped from a planet. So you have all those roots and stuff underneath it. That's just what I like. That's the look we're going to go for here. So we're just basically making a flat platform and then dragging some paint down. Now if you want to add like bumps and stuff to the surface, we can do that, but I like to do that after. Right? So that looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and add some more. Let's say we want a bigger island down here, and this is where our city's going to be. So let's make a giant island right here. And let's get more black. I'm just making that flat kind of platform. We'll have, I guess, it go out about that far. And we're going to drag that paint down. This is still technically nature. Like I said, we want it to look like it was ripped straight from a planet. That's the look we're going for here. So we want it to look jagged and rough. We don't want it to look too perfect, which makes it easier on us as well. Right? Right? And you, like, just to think, you guys were laughing at it like 10 minutes ago when we had all those mess of colors going on. Right? But it's really coming together. Right? It looked so stupid like 10 minutes ago, didn't it? Alright, but it's really coming together. It is. Let's add a couple more little islands. Just bring some more black to the side, right? Just dipping my finger in. And let's say we have a lot of blue splatter over here, so I'm just going to go ahead and say we're going to put an island right there. I like, you know what, I also like the idea of having a lighthouse somewhere. I want to put a lighthouse down here. So what I'm going to do is make an island down here. And that's where our lighthouse is going to be. And we can even make trees and stuff like that, but let's not worry about that right now. Let's go ahead and do our city. We have a bunch of islands. It's looking good. It's looking fresh. We can maybe do some stuff up there. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but let's leave it like that for now. Now, if you wanted to add grass, there's 2 ways to do this, and I'm going to do it the way that actually looks better, which the way that it looks better is if you have synthetic sponge. You can get this at art stores. I know Hobby Lobby sells some. But it's like a foam. It's not like kitchen sponge, it's like a foam, like those foam brushes. That's basically what this is. I made a video recently talking about everything that I used with links to like the exact stuff that I buy. I think on Amazon a lot of times they'll call this grouting sponge. Listen, I don't know if that is actually the same thing. That's just what the listing that I buy it from calls it. So just keep it in mind. It's like a foamy type of material. Now what we're going to do here is, I guess we'll just use the other side right here. I'm going to use some green. I'm going to use some yellow to make some grass here. Alright? If you don't have the synthetic sponge, I'll show you an alternative. But we're going to spray like a little stripe of yellow right there, off to the side. We're also going to spray some green right under it. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our sponge, and we're just going to kind of coat this up. The top of the sponge is going to get that yellow. The more bottom part of the sponge is going to get the green. You could spray it directly on if you want to. It's just not the way that I did it right now. And we're just going to kind of tap very lightly. And we're going to add grass. We're going to hit the tops of these, tops of our little rocks. And we're just going to kind of work our way down. And remember, it's going to be curved a little bit, right? We're not going to go all the way down to like all the rocks. We're not going to cover all the rocks with grass. But we're going to cover most of it. Right? And that is the best way. That's the best way. The synthetic sponge. Now, if you don't have synthetic sponge, what you can do And this doesn't, it just doesn't look nearly as good. But you could take some newspaper and you could just kind of crumple it up. And I think that actually looks pretty okay, like that. So we can do the same thing. We're going to head and coat this. Let's do a line of yellow. Let's do a line of green. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of coat this up the same way as we did the sponge. Same way. So I think that side looks pretty good like that. It doesn't look, like I said, it doesn't look nearly as good. But if you don't have anything else, let's go down here towards where that lighthouse is going to be. And just tap. Right? Just tap. You just want some sort of texture down there. Just tap away. But like I said, synthetic sponge is way better. But if you don't have it, use a newspaper or the phone book paper or whatever it is. Before the boomers get mad at me, it's phone book paper. But it's a newspaper-like material, so it's the same thing. It's the same goddamn thing. But let's go ahead and keep doing that. Let's go ahead and add some grass. I want this to be beautiful. I want it to be bright. I want there to be some vibrant colors here. So let's hit that green again on the sponge. I'm just going to spray it directly on the sponge now. This is what it looks like. Just yellow on the top, green on the bottom. We're just going to tap, 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 ever so lightly. Right? We start with less pressure first. That's what we do. We start with less pressure first, and then we can decide if we need more. But if you do too much at first, well, fuck you, I guess. Like, Jesus, you're going to have a hard time covering that up a lot of times. So get into the habit of starting with less pressure. Right? And then you can go ahead and add it later on. Okay. So that looks all good. It looks great. It looks dandy. We can also add vines. I like to add vines that are like hanging off the sides. And what I'm going to do is just take that sharper kind of edge and just use that to tap, right? I'm just going to tap down from this grass. And I'll get you guys down from the booster seat if I can. So let's see what we got here. All right, we have this like kind of corner type thing. And we're just going to start and we're going to kind of tap our way down. Right, and we can add little vines, and let's say that these vines are going to be on the other side. Now, if the vines are coming from the other side, you're not going to be able to see it until after that rock part, you know? You're picking up what I'm putting down? You understanding? Right, but go crazy. You can add some stuff. These always look really good. I try not to think too much into it. Just do whatever your little heart desires, man. Do whatever your little heart desires. Let's add more yellow right here. It's looking great, and we haven't even done our little city yet. We're going to do a little city. Or maybe a little town, I guess we should call it. We're not going to make it too big. Right? Okay, so maybe we want just a few vines over here. Oh, and that's it. Those are all of our islands. Although I think we need to fix. Very cool, right? Alright. Oh, our lighthouse is going to look great, but we'll do that last. Booster seat. This is looking majestic, though. What kind of paint do I use? I prefer Hardcore. That's my favorite brand. However, don't think too much into it. A lot of people use Krylon. A lot of people use Rust-Oleum, Gold, Montana White, Black. It doesn't really matter. I just like Hardcore. Iron Lacquer has been making quite the comeback as well. So let's go ahead and do our little city. Let's do our little city. Clear coat. See what we got. All that I'm using. Just going to clear coat this whole area right here. And the colors that are going to show up are just the colors that we use for the galaxy. Because I completely forgot that we were doing a city when we were making that galaxy. Right? Tough luck, but it's still going to look good. Palette knife. Right? This is the best tool to use for this. If you don't have one, just tear yourself off a little piece of poster board that has a flat edge to it. Okay, we kind of talked about this earlier. And we're just going to scrape paint. We already learned this. We're just going to scrape some buildings in. Right? If you want them to be like boxy sort of buildings, you can make them boxy sort of buildings. Maybe we don't want an alien thing. Maybe we want a human-looking city right here, like just a normal human civilization. So we're going to have lots of box buildings. We're just going to scrape the knife across, and I'll get you guys out of the booster seat so you guys can see. But this city's looking spectacular. Okay. I can't you guys overestimate my abilities. Either I paint or I talk. I have a hard time doing both. I'll answer any questions, though, after we're done this painting, which we're almost done. All we do is we take this flat side, and we're just going to scrape the paint across. Just take it and scrape. And then I like to drag my knife down when I'm done. And then if you want them to be 3D, just go back to that side, and we're going to drag it down, but kind of at an angle, you know, to make a little box. And give that a little antenna building sort of thing. We can do like a slanted roof type of building. And we're gonna add some layers, we're gonna add some depth as well. But this is looking like a really cool city. Usually I do the alien type of stuff, but maybe that's just not our move today. So let's go ahead and add another layer. Here's how we're gonna add another layer. Here's the best way to do it, because we wanna actually be able to see our buildings. We need some sort of like darker background. If we try to add a building into another building already, you're not gonna be able to really see it. See, we can't really see a smaller building in there because it's already been scraped. So what we're gonna do, just take some poster board. That's what we're gonna use. And we're just gonna kind of block off where the bottom of the city is gonna be. And we're gonna spray some black onto our tool, right? We want this to be as precise as we possibly can. So let's go ahead and just spray some black, and we're gonna add like a shadow underneath these buildings just so we can see this next layer. So now that we have this black, it's so ever so slight black, okay? Get more clear coat, re-wet this paint here, and now we'll be able to see this next layer of buildings. And I'm just going to use the smaller side of my knife right here. Maybe we want like a little dome right there. I don't know. I like little domes. They're nice. Alright, but we have a good city right here. We have a really good city. And we're going to leave it just like that. And now let's add our waterfalls. So this is how we're going to do the crying eye thing. Let's take a flat piece of poster board again. I'm just going to use this. I'm going to tear ourselves off a little piece. Flat edge. Let's spray some white to the side. I think we'll just have to use this. All my cans are starting to stick. We're going to spray some white off to the side. Here's what we're going to do. Poor man's paintbrush. We're going to treat this flat side of the poster board like a paintbrush. Just dip it in the white. And we're going to just scrape some lines in. Right? This is it. Think back to the little white lines, the little ripples and stuff. But we're going to do that, and we're going to trace. Actually, let me get you guys out of the booster seat. Alright? Poor man's paintbrush. And we're just going to go ahead at the bottom of this eye and just kind of swipe in some tears. Wah, boo-hoo, right? Just swipe, we're going to swipe in a little line of tears. We're going to follow that curve that we already made. We can go all the way to the top. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. Just kind of swipe that white. Oh, sorry. I have a hard time. See? Just kind of swipe that in. Right? And it can be bumpy and it can be wavy, right? Think of, I always think of like cartoons and stuff, right? Right? Where it's a little wobbly. Right, so let's add some tears. And we're going to make this into a waterfall. We're going to have this waterfall convert, and it's going to drop onto this, and then we're going to drop it onto this city, right? And then we'll drop it off the canvas, right? It's going to look dope. Right, and these are all techniques that we learned. Beginner techniques. We're just going ahead and we're doing more with it. Alright? Be creative with it. Have fun, be creative with it. So let's go ahead and coat up that flat side again, and we're going to go ahead and do our waterfall. Remember, the key to this is slow and steady is a bunch of bullshit. All you do is you just swipe it down as fast as you can, right? So, all we do, we just kind of take this, swipe it down. That's all that we're doing. Easy, easy. Now what we're going to do, we're going to make a little lake down here. We'll worry about the splish splash later, right? Let's go ahead and just swipe back and forth for like a little lake, and then we'll make another little waterfall. So let's go back. A little white, just a little bit of white on the corner there. That's all that we're doing. Waterfall. Easy. Easy, man. Easy. And then let's go ahead and make like a little river that kind of flows right in front of our city. Right? And maybe we'll have the waterfall actually come off in two places. Sorry, I know I'm moving you guys around a lot. Let's say we want just swiping back and forth. Squiggle. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. That's it. And then let's go ahead and do some final little waterfalls. Let's do a waterfall right here. That's fine. And let's do a little waterfall right here. That was much better than the first. But actually, we'll roll with both. We'll roll with both. My hands are sticking to everything. But we gotta finish this up soon, because I actually have a few things to do. Alright. So this is looking great. This is looking awesome. Back to the booster seat though. And then we're gonna do, so let's do the splish splash, right? Let's do the splish splash. What I'm gonna do is actually take a piece of poster board and I'm gonna go ahead and bend it, right? Because these are pretty small and I don't want the splish splash to go into the city too much. So I'm gonna go ahead and bend this. So it's kind of like that. And we're gonna spray some white on the inside of this little tool. So let's go to the bottom of the waterfall right here. Just spray a little bit of white in there, kind of flick upwards. We have our splish splash. Same thing over here, right? And I'm just kind of flicking my hand up just a little bit. We already learned how to do this. Splish splash down there, looking very nice. Now for down here, here's what we're gonna do for down here. The waterfall didn't really come down all the way. And you know what, sometimes it happens. But what I'm gonna do is just take my little putty knife, you can use a poster board, flat side, right? And we're just gonna kind of line this up with the waterfall. I'm hovering just a centimeter, and we're gonna spray the white onto the tool. Not on the painting, but onto the tool. And we'll add like a little mist down here into the waterfall. We'll do the same thing down here. Just up and down, just spraying the tool to give it that little mist. I mean, this looks great. This looks spectacular. It really does. Now let's go ahead and do our lighthouse. I guess the easier way to do the lighthouse here is you can just make it so it's like how we made the city here. However, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to take my putty knife again, or just some sort of straight edge. And I'm just going to go ahead and block off the sides here. So I'm going to say right about there looks good. I'm going to give my lighthouse a slight slant, okay? I don't want it to be straight up. I like to have my lighthouses at a slight slant. And I'm just going to spray some black along the side there. Basically just spraying the tool, and then I'm going to lift it up. You see? See how we have that? Now I'm going to take some white. And this is not something that we've really learned yet, but this is just the way that I like to do my lighthouses. We're going to go to the other side now with some white, and once again we're going to give it that slant, right? And I'm going to try to curve this, or you know, angle this so you guys can see it. And we're just going to kind of hit the tool there with the white. Now I actually think we can use a little bit more black, so it's like the black is the shadow, and the white is the highlight of the lighthouse. And now here's how we're going to draw this out. Here's how I'm going to draw it out. I'm going to draw it out using the fountain pen method. Alright, so this is when you just fold the poster board in half. So you have that crease, and you're going to spray some black on the inside of that crease there. Now what happens when you tilt it, you can already see it, as that paint starts to pour down. Come on now. See it? Slowly but surely. Come on, you can do it. And we can use this to draw out basically anything that we want. We can draw out birds this way. We could draw out the tops of the lighthouse this way, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can scrape it away. You can just hit it with some clear coat and use something sharp to kind of scrape it away. But I'm just going to go ahead and draw it in with the fountain pen method here. So I have some black on the inside of my card, and I'm just going to pour it out. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get you guys out of... Oh, my tool dropped. I'm going to get you guys out of the booster seat again so you guys can actually see. There's the card. Let's grab some black, spray it on the inside. That's a lot of black. Now if you have a lot of paint in there, just go off to the side first. See how much paint is actually coming out. Alright, so that's quite a bit. Now what we're going to do, I'm just going to make the platform. Right, I'm just going to make a line across, kind of like a curve. Kind of at a curve, you know. We're going to make the little line thingies. And I'm lining it up with the structure of the building that we already made. Are we together so far? What is that? You astrology people. What is that? The Gemini one? That's basically what we have. And then we're going to give that roof a roof look. Let's go ahead and just kind of slope this in. Doesn't need to be pointy. And you just kind of fill this in. Right? Pretty easy. And what we can do is, well, we can give it little supports down there at the platform. And we can also even give it like a little railing. Well, that was not just clean at all. But yeah, look, a little railing. And now we have a little lighthouse. Right? And don't worry too much about the overspray. We can go back over with the grass. Perfection. It is perfection. And we can even draw in, if you want to draw in using the fountain pen method, a little door. We can do that. However, I'm just going to scrape in a little door with some stairs as well. But let's go back with synthetic sponge, and because there's a lot of overspray right there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to spray some yellow on the top of the sponge. I'm gonna spray some green right under. I know I have to go off camera, but I don't want to risk getting it on my painting, right? But we have yellow at the top, green at the bottom. And we're just gonna go ahead and tap some grass in there, right? Just to cover up a lot of that overspray that was going on. Just like that. All right. Now let's grab some clear coat again. And I'm gonna hit the bottom right here, just the bottom. And all I'm gonna do is take the small side of my angled palette knife, and I'm just gonna scrape in a little door. Tiny, tiny little door. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm not even gonna get you guys out of the booster seat. Now I'm just gonna take the point of my palette knife, and I'm gonna scrape some straight lines right underneath it, right? So right under this door, straight line right across, and then we're gonna make another one right below it, and we're gonna have some little stairs this way. Just some little stairs, nothing too crazy. And then we're gonna go ahead and make the beam of light in a minute. Okay, but this paint is still wet, we just put it down, so we'll give it a minute. Let's go ahead and figure out what we wanna do up here. I don't think eyelashes are the move. Should we do eyelashes? Let's fuck it, let's do eyelashes. Let's grab some black. Now I want you to grab a card again. It has that flat edge. We've been using this all day, right? We've been using this all day. And I want you to just curve it, and we're gonna spray the black here. And it's gonna give us some eyelashes. It's already pretty dark right here, so we're not gonna be able to see it too much. But it'll be there, and it'll be a nice little detail. Right, and all I'm doing, and I'm pretty close, right? I'm hovering just slightly above the canvas here, and I'm just spraying the black onto the tool. And we're curving it, and then it's gonna, once we get to this middle point, it's gonna start curving the other way, the eyelashes. We'll have some, I guess, some straight ones still going the other way, but now I'm gonna flip this around so it's more comfortable for me. Let's go ahead and curve it the other way. Ah, it just dripped. Remember to wipe off your tool every once in a while. We can cover that up though. I guess we can cover it up with asteroids. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna curve this so it aligns with the curvature of the eye. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add some black right above this eye, right? I'm cutting that off completely, and I'm just spraying down, basically at the tool. There we go. I can't even really see it because of the sun, but we're rolling. Alright. And I guess let's go ahead and add some asteroids up there since I kind of made a blob of black. Spray some black to the side. Remember, pay attention, this is difficult. Double take 3 times, right? Finger in the black, make some boops. I'm just gonna make a few here. I'm not gonna do too much. Just gonna add a few. And you know what? Let's add a couple down here. Just some little boops of black. Alright. And then let's grab some clear coat. We're gonna hit the asteroids with some clear coat. We're gonna highlight them. And we also want to think about where our light source is. So I'm gonna say that this little star that we did at first, which is kind of behind this island now, is gonna be our light source, which means when I take the sharp side of my knife here, I'm gonna outline the side of the asteroid that's closer to that light source. So for this one, it's the bottom left part of the asteroid. We're just gonna outline it. Right? That's all you need to do. We add a little highlight. Right? Let's go over here. It's basically just the left side of this asteroid over here. Let's outline it. We can add some little highlights in there. It's just random little lines. That's it. Literally, they're just random lines. I don't think too much into it at all. Now let's flip her around. I think we're going to need more clear coat. For these, it's just going to basically be the bottom of the asteroids, which for us is the top right now because we flipped it over, but you know. Just outlining the side that's closer to that light source. That's it. And I think that's all of them. I think that's all of them. I think we did good. I think we can outline this one again. Just like that. Alright, now let's go ahead and add like a little glare in the eye. I like that. I like the idea of that. Let's add like a little glare. So what we can do here is just that poster board that we had folded up, right? We were using these for comets at first, then we kind of turned it into a fountain pen. But you can go ahead and shape this out however you want. I'm just gonna kind of hold it so there's a hole in there, and we're gonna spray some white on the inside, just like the comets. And we're gonna hover. We're gonna hover right above, right here. So let's say we'll just have it like right here, hovering right above the painting, just shooting some white right on the inside. Let's make it like a double one. Alright, so we have that slight glare. Really cool. Alright, now let's go ahead and add our lighthouse thingy. Let's grab a straight edge. Remember, if you don't have this, just use some poster board. I'm going to use this giant straight edge right here, and I'm just going to spray the straight edge with the white. So let's line this up. This has been here for a little while, so I think we can, I'm going to place the tool just on the edge right here for support. And I'm going to spray some white, and yeah, I guess we'll go in this direction, huh? Just like that. So now we have our lighthouse. Our lighthouse is now lit. This is a solid painting. This is a really solid painting. But I think one final thing that I want to do, first of all, let's clear coat the whole thing, because we're about done. We're about done. I'm going to use, for my canvases, I like to use triple thick glaze to finish off my canvases, or to, finish off my painting. This stuff is just way better than normal clear coat. It does re-wet the paint, but it is also more expensive, so I don't recommend that you use this stuff to just re-wet paint. That's a waste. I always save it for my canvases, but we're going to give it that nice even coat, even layer. It's going to clean up a lot of overspray. It's going to glossify everything, and I'm also going to go in the opposite direction, where we're going to go in a different direction, just so we make sure we hit all of it. Alright, now, I'm going to add some birds. I can't help myself, I want to add some birds. So, let's say I want some birds over here. Clear coat. Just a little bit more clear. And I'm going to take the point of my palette knife. Just the point. And remember, just wonky looking V's. We start from the center of the bird, just arch a wing out. Right? So, just like that. There we go. Had to put a little bit more pressure down. And all of those colors that we placed at first. Remember all those colors, that yellow, that blue, that green, that red, that's what's going to show up here. We're going to go back to the center of that bird and just arch a wing out the other way. That's it. So I want one right here. You can make these wings however you want. You can make them wavy, you can make them straight up, it don't matter. And I think I want some right here. So remember, just start from the center of the bird, right? We just arch a wing out and we go back to the center, arch another wing out. Wonky looking V's. We can make them wavy, we can make them straight, and then we like to go back to the center and make a little body. We're just going to pull our knife down a little bit, make a little body. Yeah, we're going to redo that one. And those ones kind of already have bodies to them, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But there we go. There we go. That's really solid. And just to finish it off a little bit more, I'm going to spray some more clear coat in that corner, because that's where I'm going to sign my name. I'm just going to ignore that. And squiggle. Easy. Look at that. Pretty. Pretty, pretty. Now